Hello there, hello there, hello there, everybody. How are we? Why is my camera not on? There we go. Hello. God, I hate the world. Why am I so ill prepared? Why am I a fuck up? Really, I think it's probably the bigger question. Oh, pardon me. Did a burpee as well. Hello, everybody. How are we all? I am now prepared for the show. Thank you for asking. How are you? How are you on this fine Sunday evening? What was the award, by the way? A trophy from CCHQ for services to Scummery? No, I think Laura Kunzberg did win a proper journalism award, and that's because journalism in this country is so shit. Embarrassingly shit. Yeah. Anyway. Howdy. Yes. We're gonna be taking a look at some award-winning journalism. On our own today. We've been abandoned. Our usual award-winning journalist, analyst person. No, Justice MTG is away. They are travelling the globe, which is fair enough. But yeah, I'll try and keep you company. Hello there, Phantom of Black. Hello, Kev. I went to my local Pride event yesterday. Good man. There were people with Palestine flags and Free Palestine signs, so I am waiting to hear about how everyone present were Nazis by certain media outlets. Well, I can't believe there was lots of anti-Semitism. At a Pride event, no less. Disgusting. But also, Free Palestine. And, indeed, well done Bulgarian queers. Much love. Yes. So, if you wanted to help out me, which you could do, and being that it's Pride and I am a big old poof, you do have to give me money. That is the law. I don't make the law, okay? I just follow it because I don't want to go to jail. You can you can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can give subs to the community. You can do bitty bits, super chats, $2, or indeed 200 bits on either of those things will get you a text to speech. Assuming it worked, because sometimes it didn't last time. It's getting a little bit glitchy up in this bitchy. Yeah. So there's that. Oh, pardon me. You can help me out on Patreon and or PayPal. You can. I've got a Discord. You can go and check that out. Oh. You. What else is there? Blue Sky, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads. I think that's all of the things. Anyway, if you're on YouTube, or you're YouTube, how the fuckity fuck are you all?
I don't want to do it anymore.
See, I was being nice to you, YouTube, and then you do this to me. Straight away. Literally straight away. I didn't even get through the shilling. And not only have you been generous, you've also made me shit my pants. And people don't need this. Anyway, thank you, Katie Marshall, for being a member for 10 months on the YouTube. Much love. And thank you, Tess. Be gay, give Kev money. Well, that is the ultimate crime, of course. Yeah. Yes, you can subscribe to the channel for nout. You can thumb the video up. You can hit the bell icon or something. You can become a member for 99 pence. You can gift memberships to the community. You can do super chats. And I will read those super chats out. Especially if they are grossly offensive. Yeah. A few years back they had a professional war crime pinkwasher on. The trans-Israeli singer. If you remember. Oh yeah, the Dana International. Yeah. Didn't she win Eurovision? I think. For Israel. Way back in the day. Anyway, yes, so couple of bits and pieces before we get into sort of the main schmozzle for the evening. And by the way, Rafael Devers just hit a delightful home run. Yes, I am watching baseball. Shut up. Yes. Trump had his military rally in Washington D.C., which of course we don't support. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure there are many parades I would really ever support. And then the Zoran Mamdani lookalike parade happened. Thank you for your service. Thank you. You are our best and brightest. Something. Why, kneel for the flag. I don't know. Anyway, couple of fun moments. Firstly, from the parade, basically no one turned up, it seems. And then my favourite one, this, honestly, if you wanted an indication as to how utterly and completely fucked the American empire is, right? Do you remember the great Victory Day parades in Red Square, where they'd have literal fucking, like, ICBMs on the back of trucks, and guys doing, like, fucking weird goose-steppy, marches and stuff, all in time? This parade was basically dudes shambling along the street. There was no coordination in the marching, which means it's not fucking marching, it's just walking. You're just walking at that point. And then my favourite one was the drone. Right? That the person you see there is wearing a camouflage, so you might not be able to see them against the grey road behind them. But they are carrying a drone, which is supposed to be able to sort of move on its own, really. But he's carrying it around like a toy. And I do hope he's making those noises, like pew pew pew. Like, I hope he's making those noises. Because I think that would sum up how absolutely pathetic this thing was. And it was embarrassing. Soldiers not coordinated, so they're just shambling along. They strung it out so much that you had like a tank, and then 30 seconds later you'd have another tank. What's the point? This is fucking embarrassing. You spent $45 million for what? For what? To make yourselves look absolutely shite. Well done, you fucking turds. And then someone put this out. The Russian embassy in Belgium, which I'm not sure is a real one. I think that might not be entirely true. Who would win? Pikachu versus the US Army. To be fair, Pikachu here is showing a lot more coordination. There is a lot more military discipline with the is it Pikachu? Pikachoids? Pikachais? I don't know what the plural is. Than with the US Army. Anyway. So that amused me. The US Empire is crumbling. And it's sort of quite funny. Really, when you think about it. What's not funny is Britain being shit. Speaking of which.
Prime Minister, just as you're about to leave for the G7, Israel's carried out what it describes as a preemptive strike on Iranian nuclear targets, 200 fighter jets, more than 300 bombs. The site struck, including homes. Would you say Israel is justified in the action it's taken?
Well, I'm very concerned about the situation.
He's very concerned.
And it's obvious that for a long time we've had grave concerns about the nuclear program that Iran is putting together.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, warhawk twats like this prick have had a lot of problems with Iran, because they've been trying to scare us since the 1990s about how Iran is honestly, it's 5 seconds away. It's 5 seconds away from getting a nuclear bomb. Honest, guys. Like, motherfucker. Even the US fucking Secret Service were perfectly well aware that they were nowhere near a bomb. This isn't preemptive. This is honestly what used to be referred to as the primary war crime, which was an unaggressed upon nation aggressing upon another, right? So an act of war aggression. Iran did not actually pose any real threat to Israel. Not that I'm saying they were friends, because they certainly fucking weren't. But they weren't going to invade, they weren't going to have a bomb. This is nonsense. And of course, it's especially funny given that given that Israel is a nation that does have a bomb, that denies it has a bomb, and won't allow any IAEA inspectors into its facilities. Because it denies that they even exist. So we have an actual nuclear rogue state pretending that somebody else is a rogue state so that they can start a war against them in order to keep Benjamin Netanyahu from going to jail. Cool.
And we absolutely recognise Israel's right to self-defence.
Okay, but why... Like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Why does that get brought up? Why does Iran not have a right to self-defence? Why is it that Iran, in this situation, does not have a right to self-defence? Because I guarantee you, none of these cunts, when Iran has struck back now, right, they've bombed parts of Tel Aviv. The Iron Dome has been made to look like the Iron Dome. Right? None of them, not fucking one of them, will say, we recognise Iran's right to self-defence. Why not? Why is it only Israel has a right to self-defence and nobody else? Well, sorry, Ukraine does, obviously. Fair enough. I've got no problem with that. They actually were aggressed upon. Very, very literally. Why is it that nobody else has a right to self-defence? Why did Iraq not have a right to self-defence? Why did Afghanistan not have a right to self-defence when the US Army invaded them? Any thoughts?
The UK were not involved in this attack, and we're urging all sides to de-escalate.
By the way, he's also lying about that the UK was not involved. I think I've got this saved, assuming it hasn't been taken down. Because you remember how we've been doing flights from RAF Akrotiri that have usually been reconnaissance flights over parts of Israel/Palestine. Let's be undramatic about it, right? A few hours ago, a flight taking off from RAF Akrotiri was a refueling plane, which turned off its guidance. Turned off its transponder so it could no longer be tracked when it got to Iraq, which borders Iran, in case you didn't know. Why would a British refueling plane be going anywhere near Iraq? The US doesn't, so the UK doesn't have a military presence in Iraq anymore. Thankfully. That particular fucking escapade of bloodletting in the desert, thankfully, stopped. But yesterday we had a refueling plane hovering around in the Arabian desert. Why would that be? We don't have any fucking planes there. Tell you did have planes there, though. Israel. Because they've been flying over Iraq to get to Iran. Illegally, of course. Naturally. Interesting, isn't it? So he's even lying about we weren't involved in this shit. Brilliant. Thanks, Keith. Bravo. Not only are you a fucking horrible Zionist piece of shit, but you're also the worst liar ever. You're a shithouse of a liar. Not necessarily a shithouse of a lawyer, because he apparently was quite a good lawyer. You got the McLibel pair off, so, fair dues. But as a liar, very bad at this. Very bad.
And negotiate as the way forward here. And obviously we're talking to allies about...
Now, you say, Keith, do you not? Negotiation is the way forward, and I agree with you. Jaw, not war. Absolutely. One small problem with that, Israel, one of its first targets in Tehran, was the home of the lead negotiator in the Iran-USA nuclear talks. So not like a head of a nuclear program, not a person making a nuclear bomb. deliberately targeting the head of the negotiating team so that negotiations couldn't take place. Kind of seems like one side really doesn't want peace.
About that we have been this week. We are intensively talking to allies today.
In March, US national intelligence made it public that they did not believe Iran was developing nuclear weapons. So has something changed in the assessment since then?
No. It's just Israel have been given a green light by cunts like Keir Starmer. And, of course, Joseph Robinette Biden and Donald John Trump. And so they're just swinging wild now. We can bomb anywhere we like. Ha ha ha! In many respects... And I don't want this to happen. Let this be under no illusion. I'm not suggesting I want this to happen. I'm just saying there would be one silver lining if it did. If Israel did nuke Britain, there would be one funny element of that, which would be to see Keir Starmer twist himself in knots to try and justify Israel dropping a nuke on a British city. Because you know he fucking would. Cunt.
Well, I won't go into the intelligence assessments, but we are gravely concerned. I just had a call with President Macron and Chancellor Merz to discuss the situation, and we are all on the same page in the sense of saying, look, the nuclear programme is a real cause for concern. We're all saying de-escalate in relation to this incident, but none of us were involved in the actual attack.
You are a liar. You're a big liar. Stop lying to everybody. Also, there is only one side escalating, and that would be the Zionist side. I.e., Israel bombs preemptively. In other words, a war of aggression. And then Britain decides that it's going to move its aircraft to the Middle East for protective reasons. Starmer, you are the one escalating. Yeah, you. In case anyone wanted to, okay, like the British Armed Services, in case you were wondering who you're fighting for, it's Benjamin Netanyahu. It's not Britain. It's not even the interests of Britain. It's literally just Benjamin Netanyahu. That's who you're going to lose your legs for, and possibly your life. Who knows?
Does that mean you're also gravely concerned about the fact that Israel has made this very big move, preemptive military action? I mean, you're concerned about Iran's nuclear program. Are you also concerned about Israel's choice of action?
Well, I'm concerned about escalation, of course, and I'm going to...
No, it's not one word of condemnation for Israel at all. Fucking useless cunt. Absolutely useless cunt.
To speak to Prime Minister Netanyahu shortly after this interview. So obviously that'll be a topic of discussion. Look, I do recognise Israel's right to self-defence. There's no doubt about that.
Mentioned it twice. Why? This isn't self-defensive. This is offensive. In both the sense of it being something which offends and something which is offensive in war nature. It is both of those things. It is an act of absolutely naked aggression by a belligerent rogue state that hasn't signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and doesn't even accept that it has nuclear weapons, even though we know it has nuclear weapons.
But I am very concerned about the escalation of this situation, which is why, along with Germany and France, we're really clear that de-escalation is what is needed here.
Would the UK therefore help defend Israel from Iranian attack as it has done before?
Well, this is happening in real time as we speak, and I'm not going to go into operational matters if you'll forgive me for that. But as I say, the principle of Israel's...
Yes, you will roll over and you will die for Israel. Keir Starmer is absolutely going to have British people killed for Israel because he's a useless cunt.
Right to self-defence is absolutely clear. And
Three times he's said it now.
This is a fast-moving situation, as you will understand.
Absolutely embarrassing. Let's move on to some award-winning journalism. I'm sure this will be good.
A deadly duel. Enemies for decades, Israel and Iran are at war. A fresh wave of attacks rained down overnight in Israel and in Iran. At least 10 people have killed, but the situation is moving fast. We will speak live this morning to Israel's ambassador here in the UK.
For fuck's sake. Why is this cunt even allowed in the country? Zippy Hatavelli, the Israeli ambassador to Britain, an openly genocidal piece of shit who shouldn't be in the country. We should have extradited her, expelled her from the country. In fact, we should have expelled the Israeli legation at this point. Why have we got rogue states that have a fucking embassy in Britain? It's ridiculous.
UK, and we'll have the latest from Iran's capital, Tehran.
And this cunt, they don't even fucking say, this is the son of the Shah. This is the Lord Haw of modern Iran. Reza Pahlavi. Literally the son of the Shah that was deposed in 1979. Who, you remember, was put in power when the democratically elected government in 1953 were overthrown by a British and American coup. Because, you know, he got a bit too nationalisy with the oil. Cool. By the way, this cunt's called for the American government to invade Iran on several occasions. Presumably to put him in power, you understand. So it's you know, awesome. You've got two essentially pro-Zionist, anti-Iranian lunatics.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Balanced, sensible, non-partisan coverage from the British Broadcasting Corporation, as always. Yippee. Fucking hell. Thank you, Suganamadik. Alexa, play Rain on Me by Ariana Grande. I don't have Alexa.
British jets are on the way to the region. We'll explore what that means for us.
Why are British jets on the way to the region? I thought we were doing de-escalation. Why are we escalating the situation?
Chancellor Rachel Reeves and our opposite number, Mel Stride,
Pair
the
of
Conservatives
cunts.
are
Pair of
both
absolute
here.
cunts.
We'll hear too today from the son of the former Shah of Iran.
Oh, sorry, that's the son of the former Shah. Apologies.
This morning, he's calling
Wrong
for
one.
his fellow countrymen to rise up and take to the streets. And our team at the desk for the next hour this week, renowned international journalist Christiane Amanpour, former boss of the oil giant Lord Brown from BP, and Hugh Fearnley-Whittinstall, Green campaigner.
Wow, okay, interesting.
Morning. And first of all, we want to show you straight away what's happening on the ground in the Middle East. This is Tamra, a city in northern Israel where one person was killed overnight by Iranian strikes. This is Beit Am, where 3 people died last night. And there were more attacks in Iran too. We haven't been able to get pictures.
Wow, it does appear that having fucked around, the finding out stage, not so fun, is it, Israel?
Of those so far, but a major oil depot has been hit, along with more military sites, as Israel continues its efforts to weaken the Iranian regime. This bitter new outburst of war dominates the headlines this morning. The Sunday Times says that Britain is on a war footing, moving combat jets to the Middle East. The Observer
Wow, so much de-escalation.
carries a dramatic picture of the skies over Tel Aviv on Friday night. The Sun and The Independent both splash on British jets being sent to the area. But The Independent also has an image of the jubilant Bath team winning the rugby premiership for the first time in nearly 30 years.
I mean, okay, I'll put this on the screen, right? So it says, the Nazis entered this war on the rather childish delusion that they were going to bomb everybody and nobody was going to bomb them. True, but Arthur Harris was a fucking lunatic. Arthur Harris was a fucking madman. Pardon me. And very likely a war criminal. Who took great glee in destroying civilian inhabitants of German cities. Now, I'm not going to argue that the bombing in general was bad, or ill-deserved, or illegal. I'm suggesting his approach to it of destroy as much as possible and kill everybody was. Just saying.
And on any other day, the Prime Minister granting a national inquiry into grooming gangs, having resisted it, would be on front pages everywhere. It leads the Sunday Times.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, you know, the national grooming gang inquiry scandal thing that was going to happen and then wasn't going to happen, and then Elon Musk tried to make it happen and then it wasn't going to happen, and then they were going to have regional ones. Well, after fucking around for so long, they've eventually gone, okay, we'll have a national inquiry. Now, there are a few issues I have with it. Firstly, the fact that it's emboldened right-wing twats who don't give a fuck about women and girls, never have, never will, are all supportive of people like Conor McGregor and Andrew Tate and Donald Trump. Just fans of rapists and domestic abusers, all of them, or pretty much all of them, and has emboldened them now. They see this as a victory for them. Not a victory for women and girls or a victory for justice, a victory for them. So there's that. Secondly, what are the exact parameters of this inquiry going to be? We'll wait and see. Because the devil is always in the detail, especially when it comes to people like Keir Starmer, who is a lawyer, as I previously mentioned. And therefore, you know, each tiny little word can change things. So we'll wait and see on that exactly. And secondly, just a quick sort of word to the wise, or indeed the unwise, the right wing. These people are doing this for racist reasons. The right wing, when they call for these inquiries and stuff, are doing it for overtly racist reasons. It's because they care about... they care only about the Pakistani grooming gangs, or the Asian grooming gangs, which are a pretty small percentage of the overall grooming gang problem, which itself is a very small part of the overall child predation problem that we've had in Britain forever, basically. So this is not going to be, I don't think, the great victory for the right wing that they want it to be, because it won't just focus on brown people doing this. It will focus on white people doing this, and black people doing this, and every stripe of person you can possibly imagine doing this. And they won't be happy when there are white people mentioned, because again, they don't give a fuck about white people doing this. They care about, you know, brown people doing it. They want this to be part of their anti-Muslim jihad, I dare say. So we'll wait and see how disappointed they are if ever this actually happens. Because again, Keir Starmer saying something's going to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Telegraph today. But as you imagine, today we're going to spend most of our time speaking about the Middle East. Christian, in all your years of experience covering this region, how would you classify this moment with Iran and Israel in direct conflict?
Well, obviously, it's the first major time that these two, who've been in a shadow war with each other for a long time, have come out, and it's really, you know, a big deal. It's not an equal. Israel is much further superior to Iran. Israel has been degrading Iran's capabilities since October 7th, and that is a big factor.
And now, by the way, Israel are doing car bombs in Tehran. So just straight up terrorism now.
It's been degrading its proxies in the region. I think also, very importantly, Prime Minister Netanyahu has wanted to do this for decades. He's never believed in the diplomatic path. No American president has allowed him to do it until President Trump. So the question is, what next? Where does this go? And what is the...
Okay, no president has allowed him to bomb Iran, but Biden allowed him to do basically whatever the fuck he liked in Gaza. And the West Bank, for that matter. Let's not let Joe Biden, the stepping stone, off the hook here.
Ultimate strategy and the ultimate goal.
And in terms, Lord Brown, for us here watching on in the UK, there is, of course, a horror looking at conflict and, of course, with loss of life and all the instability in that particular region. But at home, what could the direct impacts be if this is prolonged?
Well, setting aside the broad security issues, it is energy security, the price of oil, and therefore the price of petrol at the pump.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the biggest issue out of all of this. It's the fact that lots of people are going to die. And we could end up genuinely in a World War III situation. I don't think it will go that far, but like that's the kind of potential for this. But if Iran decide to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, which is the little weird knobbly bit where the Arabian Shelf nearly meets the Persian
I don't
Shelf.
want to do this anymore.
There's a tiny bit of sea in between, which Iran can shut down very effectively. Because Iran is not a broken down country. Iran is not Saddam Hussein's Iraq. It is not the Taliban. Iran is a proper country that can actually defend itself. As we've seen, they can fire hypersonic missiles and hit Tel Aviv. They can shut down the Straits of Hormuz. And I think it's something like 40-odd% of the world's oil and natural gas from both Iran and Saudi Arabia goes through that strait. It's like a little bottleneck for all of that. And without that, the price of petrol is going to go through the fucking roof. Again, not the biggest issue in the world. Not remotely the biggest issue here. But one that's definitely going to fuck a lot of people. And might actually get people in the West to sit up and take notice. Because as we've seen with the war in Gaza, basically a lot of people in the West still don't give a fuck. You can kill as many brown people as you like, they don't care. If you start making things expensive for the Westerner, if the price of eggs suddenly starts to rise, even though Trump got it to reduce by 400% somehow, definitely, they might just take notice, and they might just actually put pressure on their elected officials to rein this shit in. So, we'll wait and see. A world war. Oh no! Don't get. Look, if this world war starts, Germany will have its part to play because Germany has given for historical reasons. Let's just say that we don't need to go into it any further. For historical reasons, has been so far up Israel's arse, it's embarrassing. Like, you're overdoing it, lads. We get that you're sorry. We get that you're not like that anymore. We know Germany. We know. Chill the fuck out, yeah. Because you're, the never again thing, you're allowing the again to happen. Stop it. Thank you, Soganmadik, who says, quote, Iran has investigated itself and has determined that it did not commit any crimes. She has the right to self-defense under international law. You are delightfully silly, and I appreciate that enormously. Thank you. Oh. Germany celebrates being off the hook for once. Well, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
Stop it. Get some help.
Thank you, Tartines, me loves, with 24 months. 2.5 babies indeed! Which is a very weird way of putting it, but there we go. Anyway, yeah, so not only are loads of people going to die and all the rest of it, but everything's going to get more expensive. Literally, to keep Benjamin Netanyahu from justice. It's fucking mental.
So there's a lot of oil in the world. We have more than enough oil capable of being produced. But
thanks. There's lots of oil in the world. Beautiful.
Because OPEC restrains their production to keep the price up a bit. But the issue is getting it to market. And the concern is the Straits of Hormuz in the Arabian-Persian Gulf and whether or not that can be blocked. I think it's unlikely because it cuts off the nose despite the face. Iran is still producing 1.7 million barrels a day of exportable.
But they forget, oh my God, these people genuinely are mental. Now, don't get me wrong, it might end up working out the way he says, right? That's genuinely possible. But people seem to be forgetting with both Israel and Iran, their governments are fucking mental, megalomaniacal, religious extremists. They're not playing this in a normal, rational way. Okay, the existence of their government, of their state, in the form that it is. So for the Zionists, there has to be a Zionist Israel, otherwise the world can fucking burn. And for Iran, there has to be an Islamic Republic of Iran, right? Otherwise the world can fucking burn. If there's any genuine threat to either of those regimes, expect enormous response from either of those regimes. Like, genuinely suicidally fucking mental responses. I've said this before. Israel might be one of the few countries in the world that would genuinely use a nuclear bomb. If Israel was ever genuinely threatened, it would glass fucking everything. Because the only thing that matters to the Zionist is the existence of the Zionist state. The only thing that matters to the mullahs or whatever is the existence of the Islamic State of Iran. That's it. They don't give a fuck about, oh, we might lose some money. They don't care. They don't give a fuck about that. They're happy to lose all that money as long as Islamic Iran survives. They're not fucking stockbrokers. They're religious fundamentalists. Fucking hell.
Oil as well as natural gas. And so I think it's unlikely, but the risk is there, and that's why the price has already gone up a bit. People saying it may happen, it may not happen. I would expect the price to equilibrate a bit. If they shut the Straits of Hormuz, the price, I don't know where the price would go. It would certainly go up a long way.
Hugh, what have you thought watching some of the images coming out?
Well,
yeah, like Germany's fucking mental. This kind of image exists, and it's just like, Germany. What the? We get it. Yeah, we get it. You don't hate the Jews anymore. Cool, awesome. That doesn't mean you have to sign a blank check to a government. Like, what the fuck is this? That's insane. That's what, you're anti-fascist and fascist? Brilliant. Well done. We're against ethno-nationalism, but also pro-Israel somehow.
Images are horrific, but one of the things I've been thinking about is the story that for the first time is the Middle Eastern story that for the first time isn't really on the front pages, and that's the people of Gaza, because of course this is an absolute disaster for them.
Oh yeah, the fucking Guardian. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Why does the Guardian exist? Can someone explain that to me? Where is it? Fucking mental. Strikes on Iran ease pressure on Israel to end starvation in Gaza. You're serious? You're serious? Bravo. The Guardian has out-guardianed itself with its level of, like, heartless cuntery. This is like some shit from the Daily Mail. The British press have shown themselves. They're not actually doing journalism. They're just doing, like, Zionist stenography. They're just doing, like, whatever propaganda Israel wants you to fucking have. All of it's been like, oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. Iran's been reckless by firing back. Oh, fucking Christ almighty. Although at least I suppose from The Guardian they didn't try and find a trans angle on this. At least it wasn't strike on Iran eases pressure on Israel to end starvation in Gaza, and also fuck trans people. Written by fucking Burble Singh.
Time when international concern about the mounting atrocities of innocent civilians being slaughtered in their food queues was really beginning to shake loose some sense that now is the moment to really push Israel very hard, take action. Maybe in the case of the UK, even withdraw military support and military training, which personally I think we should have done a long time ago.
Yeah, a long
and
fucking
then
time ago.
Yesterday, the Saudi Paris summit, the Saudi-French summit on the statehood of Palestine, has been postponed indefinitely. Just for the last few days, Gaza's been in a complete community.
Fair play to Fernley Whittingstall. This is actually a really good point and a strong point to make. Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thank you, Tartines Me Love, for gifting a sub to Jim Speak. Much love to you both.
Communications blackout, as if things couldn't be any worse. This is just catastrophic, and I think we need to spare a thought for them too today.
Well, events have been moving so quickly, so let's just take a bit of a breath and remind you of exactly what has been going on. This week's strikes are Israel's biggest ever attacks on Iran, but the two countries have been enemies for decades. Iran's regime calls for the destruction of Israel and backs violent groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. Israel believes Iran...
Wow, I wonder if Israel does anything like that.
...wants to develop a nuclear bomb and says it's an existential threat.
Israel has a nuclear bomb. Are you going to mention that? No? Just ignore that? Cool, cool.
Now it's carried out the biggest attack on Iran in decades, killing military leaders and scientists and targeting nuclear sites. Iran sit back, bombing Israel's cities too, Jerusalem and...
Also, they didn't just target nuclear sites. They literally targeted the fucking head of the negotiation with the Americans. They purposefully killed so you couldn't have a fucking negotiated settlement. God, this is fucking embarrassing. This is such unbelievably one-sided, fucking unbalanced shit content. And I'm having to fucking pay for it. From the supposedly balanced BBC. What a joke.
In Tel Aviv, an outburst of conflict that could have heavy costs for us all. Well, the Israeli ambassador to the UK, Tibi Hotovely, is here with us this morning.
Why? Why are you giving airtime to this fucking propagandist, genocidal freak?
Welcome to the studio. Good morning. This is a dramatic escalation in the long burning, simmering enmity between Israel and Iran. Why won't you heed calls from the UK and others to de-escalate, to stop?
Because de-escalation means that Iran won't have nuclear capabilities. It's as simple as...
No, they don't have nuclear capabilities. The Americans already said they're not anywhere fucking near nuclear capabilities. You are lying.
That the UK has been our partner for many years to fight Iran's nuclear ambitions. Everyone agrees, the US, the UK, other allies, that Iran...
Everyone agrees, the UK and US, you know, the international community that matters. Make it too obvious, why don't you? You know when they say international opinion and they just mean like America and maybe some parts of Western Europe? Yeah.
And with nuclear capabilities will be devastating to the region, including the Gulf countries. Now, we are in a point where President Trump gave 60 days of negotiation to the Iranians to give a diplomatic solution, and the Iranians didn't really want to have any diplomatic solution. They were actually, when the IAEA published this report that was clearly showing that Iran was misleading the international community.
Talking of that, why don't you let that very same organisation, the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, into any of your sites? Zippy? Why not? I mean, you literally think their reporting is fair because you're literally praying in aid the IAEA. So why don't you let them into any of your facilities? That's interesting, isn't it? So the IAEA only get to investigate Iran, but not Israel, ever. Cool. That's definitely fair and just and legal. Fucking prick.
Enriching uranium. And we saw with our intelligence abilities that they were racing fast to get nuclear bombs with the combination of enrichment and weaponization. When all this happened...
Oh yeah, just like Iraq was. They definitely have weapons of mass destruction. Honest, you can believe us this time. Honest. Yeah. Should we take a look at... Where is it? Where's our friend J.O.B.? Where is he, the little fucker? Here we go.
In what year do you think Benjamin Netanyahu first warned that Iran was 3 to 5 years away from building a nuclear bomb? He wrote a book in 1995. Didn't mention the fact that he'd pledged 3 years previously that they'd have a bomb within 3 years. Instead, he repeated the claim that Iran would have the bomb this time by 5 to 7 years at the most, which would mean that 2002 at the latest would be the point. 7 years after that, he told the visiting US congressional delegation that Iran was just 1 to 2 years away from having a nuclear weapon. So it would have then been by 2011. And now he's making exactly the same claim to justify the bombing of Iran overnight. The same claim that he has been making since at least 1992.
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
This man's lies killed thousands of US soldiers and...
Okay, well, you get the idea with that, yeah. So yeah, there's absolutely no doubt Saddam Hussein's got nuclear weapons, and there's absolutely no doubt whatsoever that Iran, they were like this close to getting nuclear weapons. They're honest. Fucking hell. What a joke. What a joke.
We had to move fast to operate against Iran's nuclear ambitions.
But let me tell people also what the Director of Intelligence of the United States said very clearly recently. We continue to assess that Iran is not yet building a nuclear weapon. Israel has faced ongoing threats from Iran for many years.
Laura?
There was no imminent threat.
There was imminent threat, and can I please ask you something?
No, there's no imminent threat. She literally just read to you that there was no imminent threat and that you're a liar.
Both are not nuclear experts, but I think everyone knows that in order to have an enrichment of uranium, you need to have, for your civil capabilities, it's enough to have 3.5%, and they were enriching beyond 60%. So what do you think was their aim?
And yet the assessment from the United States was that as things stand, Iran has not at this point been building a nuclear weapon. There was, in that regard, no imminent threat, and there were talks due today.
There was an imminent threat.
No, there wasn't. You're a liar. You are in fact lying, Zippy Hotavele. You're a liar. You're a lying bitch. You're a genocidal freak. Get the fuck out of my country. Leave immediately.
I beg to differ. You're definitely not in line with the fact that the Iranians were both creating this program to destroy Israel, to eliminate Israel. And you know something? After 7th of October, if there is one thing we learned...
Look, I don't give a fuck about 7th of October anymore, right? Having spent the last 18 months watching Palestinians have to scoop the bits remaining of their children into plastic bags, you can fucking keep your sob story to yourself. I don't give a fuck about this dumb shit about October 7th anymore, okay? Cry me a fucking river at this point. You've used it as an excuse to further your genocidal fucking campaign. Fuck you, okay? You have spat on the corpses of the people who died on October the 7th. You sick bastards.
Now enemies are saying clearly they want to eliminate Israel, and they are preparing the capabilities.
Is there a country around you haven't fucking bombed in the last 18 months? You've invaded everywhere. The only threat to peace in that region is you.
I think the IAEA report is quite clear about that. Then we should believe them. And Israel here was acting...
I'd like to believe the IAEA when they're allowed into your facilities, yeah. Are you going to do that at any point ever, Zippy? Are the Israeli government ever going to allow the IAEA inspectors into your sites? Because if not, you can shove that up your arse as well.
An act of self-defense,
but you were
and it was an imminent threat.
But you were acting 3 days before diplomatic talks were scheduled. They were meant to be happening today. There was that option, and instead of giving another 3 days where there could have been a chance at resolving this without bloodshed, without attacks on civilians, your own civilians overnight now being attacked and losing their lives.
No, let me tell
Why
you
was
something.
Israel unable to give another 3 days before striking like this?
First of all, the 60 days been expired. And we saw that Iran has no intentions to get into a diplomatic solution here.
Except that they literally had talks lined up for 3 days after you did this. So that's obviously not true.
They've been doing what they've been doing for the last 20 years. They were clear that they want to have nuclear weapon. And, you know, Israel knows
Was it
how
clear? On what
this can
basis?
be dangerous, because we operated in the past. Our history shows twice we operated. 1981, we operated against
Hey, the Jack Meller in chat. Oi, oi.
Iraq. And 2007, we operated against...
Yeah, you operated against Iraq, where you lied and said he had weapons of mass destruction there, and he didn't. And now you're doing literally the same thing. You're like a band who had one hit that one time, and they've been living off it for fucking 40 years. Everyone's got nuclear weapons except us, apparently, somehow. Fucking embarrassing.
The nuclear aspirations of Assad in Syria. Both times, the international community owes huge thank you to Israel. And it's the same case.
You fucking clown. You fucking clown. You owe us a massive debt of gratitude for destabilising an entire region for our own geopolitical, ethno-nationalist ends. I mean, you're literally occupying the Golan Heights. You're occupying parts of fucking Syria. You're occupying... you've invaded various of your neighbours. You've bombed various of your neighbours. You're a fucking rogue state. You shouldn't be being interviewed in the fucking... on the TV. You should be being interviewed at The Hague.
Here, Europe owes a huge thank you to Israel for doing that, and the Gulf countries as well. Our region would have been a place that is not safe for anyone if Iran would have accomplished their plan.
What is your ultimate intention here? Are you trying to overthrow the Iranian government by force? Because you haven't just been attacking nuclear facilities.
Which, by the way, is illegal under international law. Having action with the implication or direct implication and goal of regime change is illegal.
No, you have killed senior military figures. Are you trying to overthrow their regime by force?
Our Prime Minister was very clear. We were not aiming to regime change. This is not the aim of this military operation. We are clear about...
Really? So why are Reuters reporting that even Trump, the craven bastard, blocked Israel's plan to assassinate the Supreme Leader Khamenei? You can choose to believe or not believe Reuters, but they're one of the more respected news outlets out there. They're certainly not anti-Israel. And even Trump went, come on now, that's too much. Let's not go that far, shall we? Fucking mental.
Harming and damaging in a way that will create a total rollback to Iran's nuclear program. This is our aim, and we are also aiming to destroy the ballistic missiles program. Now, you've seen the damage created yesterday.
Why? Hang on, why? Iran has a right to defend itself. Iran has a right to defend itself. Why should you be able to just get rid of its ballistic missiles? Are you going to get rid of your ballistic missiles? I don't think you are.
We're talking about civilians being targeted. Israel is not targeting civilians while Iran...
Yeah, you are. Yeah, the fuck you are. Imagine that. A country targeting civilians deliberately. Like, say, I don't know, you have been doing in the Gaza Strip for the last 18 months. Maybe.
Iran is targeting...
But civilians have been killed in Iran. Civilians have been killed.
We are talking about
Also,
Israel.
Are you going to mention at any point... You're a fucking journalist, Laura. She's going on about, oh, Iran's going to get nuclear weapons. Are you going to question this motherfucker on the fact that Israel has nuclear weapons and will not allow international inspectors into those facilities? At any point, are you going to fucking bother to mention that? Because I think that would be a very pertinent point to bring up in regard to this conversation. If we're talking about rogue states of religious extremists having... weapons of mass destruction that we can't fucking inspect, I would say having the Israeli ambassador there and asking them about Israel being exactly that set of things would be a pertinent thing to ask them about. Maybe. You know. But that's just me. What do I know? Clearly.
Calling the Iranian people to evacuate. We're not seeing the same...
Well, hang on. Time out, cunt. Who the fuck are you to tell the Iranian people they have to evacuate their own capital city? Also, even aside from that, the idea that you can just push people around like that. Secondly, we've seen from Gaza what your evacuation notices mean. You tell people to evacuate a certain area and go over to that area over there. That's a safe area over there. Then you bomb them in that area. Your evacuation notices are the most horrific rug pull in all of human history. They are a death sentence for everybody. Again, you sick, ghoulish, murderous bastard.
The same coaches from the Iranian people, actually, Iranian regime. Actually, what we're seeing is targeting communities in the center of Israel. My parents live in the city that was hurt yesterday. I was talking to my father and to my mother, 3 o'clock in the morning Israel time, and their whole house was shaking. And
oh wow, you can always go for the fuck back there and then just not come back here ever again. Go and protect your parents. Go on, fuck off anywhere else and just don't come back here. And again, the crybully bullshit to have flattened Gaza. We've all fucking seen that happening day after day after day. And then be like, 2 of our buildings were hit. Can you imagine such pain? Why are we in this shelter? How do I explain to people that I'm in this shelter? Fuck off.
And they had to go to their shelter. They're in their 70s. We're talking about children
that is retaliation to strikes by Israel. That is retaliation
Can I
from
remind
Iran.
you, April and October, 300 missiles and UAVs being targeting Israeli civilians time after time from the Iranian regime. Israel has been tolerating this for too long, and the world has been tolerating this for too long. And I think the world...
Oh yeah, Israel's been super chill about the entire affair, yeah.
Much better place without Iran's nuclear ambitions.
Civilians have already died on both sides. Reportedly, more than 70 people have been killed by Israeli strikes in Tehran. You have, on this occasion, directly started this conflict with a deadly foe. Tens and tens of thousands of people have been killed in Gaza. You will not put the brakes on there, despite repeated calls from your allies around the world, including the UK government. You've been accused by the United Nations of atrocities. Will Benjamin Netanyahu stop?
You don't need to be accused by anyone. We've fucking seen it with our own eyes. We saw what they fucking did to those people queuing up for food, and that was right at the very start. They were queuing up for flour, weren't they? And they were fucking gunned down on purpose. And it's been like that every fucking day. God almighty, why are you giving this propagandist wanker fucking airtime?
Stop at nothing. Is he listening to anyone?
Our Prime Minister is being backed up by all the opposition leaders in Israel. This is not a political...
Oh, the other rape enthusiasts in the Israeli Knesset. Yeah, oh, fantastic. Brilliant. Yeah, we know you're a sick society. Filled with far-right lunatics. Yes, we're aware of that. I don't care. It's not an excuse.
Decision of one leader that is making a decision for his own interest. This is a decision for the safety of Israel, the region, and the world for the coming many years. And I want to say about the end game, and I think this is what people care about. Actually, I believe that it gives better opportunity to get to a ceasefire in Gaza, because once the patron of Hamas, all the proxy system that Iran has built around Israel...
Israel fucking supported Hamas. Supported the rise of Hamas, so that the Gaza Strip would be cut off from the PA, right? They wanted them broken away from the Palestinian Authority. Your government is to blame for this.
This vicious plan to invade Israel and to barbarically kill our people through Hezbollah, through the Houthis, and through Hamas. This will stop.
Hamas.
once Iran won't have the capabilities and the ability to sponsor terrorism all around the world and around Israel. And I believe actually we're getting closer to the opportunity that Hamas will understand that it must, finally bring our hostages back and make sure that the war in Gaza...
You could have had the hostages back fucking months ago, you lying bastard. You lying, evil bastard. You could have done this. You had no interest in doing this. Benjamin Netanyahu has no interest in war stopping. Because as soon as war stops, his government collapses and he goes to prison. We all know this.
Gaza will stop.
Okay, Ambassador, thanks so much for giving us...
Fuck
Thank
off.
you. Hoping for...
Fuck off, you rancid cunt.
Very much indeed.
For a safer world.
Thank you very much for coming in. Let's now hear then from...
She needs to be kicked the fuck out immediately. She don't belong here. Fuck her off. Get her to Israel. Put her on the first fucking flight and piss her off out of here. Fuck's sake.
Did approach the Iranian government for one of their spokespeople. They were not able to give us an interview. So instead, we spoke to Hamdreja Olamzadeh, the director of Diplo House, a think tank, about the UK's government decision to send RAF jets to the Middle East and whether or not that makes the UK a target for Iran.
Of course it fucking does. And goes against the stated goal of de-escalation. Why are we sending fucking planes there? Firstly, right, in theory, you're supposed to get consent from the British House of Commons for this. There's been no debate about this. I presume there will be on Monday. I would certainly fucking hope so. But there's been no debate about this. Parliament was not recalled to debate this, so we've basically gone to war on behalf of Israel because we have the biggest fucking cock in the world as Prime Minister. Fantastic work. And there's been no parliamentary oversight of it whatsoever. Super duper.
They have not been involved yet. By just sending the fighter jets doesn't mean that they are involved. But if they are involved, there certainly would be a legitimate target for Iran. Iran has been very clear at this time that any country that supports Israelis and gets involved in either defending the Israelis or attacking Iran would be a legitimate target for that. And Iran doesn't have any joke with that. It's very serious about that because it has turned into an existential war for Iran. Because Israelis have passed a red line that is very serious and there is no return for that. And Iran is going to defend itself by any means and any ways. And any country, even the Americans, the UK, or any country who supports the Israelis would be a legitimate target for Iran.
So Iran is threatening the UK?
If they are involved.
Yeah, there's no doubt that this makes Britain less safe. Yeah. Probably Britain's abroad. I don't think Iran can really do anything to us here. But it makes the lives of British people, British servicemen especially, much more dangerous. All for Israel. Again, all for Israel. When you sign up for the British Army, know this. You're not serving the British people, you're serving oil interests and you're serving Israel. That's it. They've made that very obvious.
So if they don't get involved, so there is no war. It's about security. It's a war.
So I saw this.
If you get involved in a war, so that's what you.
What's this? We need to talk about this insane hysteria about World War III. Okie dokie.
So I saw this on YouTube. Asmongold TV, 18 hours ago, 1.5 million views. Is this World War III? And if you type in World War III into YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, you will find loads of videos talking about World War III happening because Israel have attacked Iran and Iran has responded. And obviously, the average person who doesn't know much about the world, they see pretty much any conflict as the start of World War III. And you saw this a lot when Russia invaded Ukraine. And I obviously understand that a lot more to your average person. When you see a major superpower invade another European country in such a dramatic way, in a way that we haven't seen in a long, long time, that does maybe feel like the start of World War III. And what I want this video to serve as is if there is another conflict in the world, you can direct people to this video, you can watch it yourself, because this is my video talking about how none of these conflicts are going to result in World War III, and any person saying that they are is fear-mongering, doesn't know what they're talking about, and I feel like it's irresponsible.
I think it's irresponsible to say none of these conflicts are going to result in World War III, because people at the time didn't necessarily think that any of the things that caused the First World War or the Second World War were going to cause those wars. And in fact, even when the Second World War happened, there was the drôle de guerre, the phony war. And basically, there was no real world war. Everyone just thought there'd be a negotiated settlement and everything would be fine. Why are we going to go to war over Poland, really? Like, we've declared war, but nothing's happening. We've just got soldiers sat around taking the piss in France, right? It's clickbait. No, don't get me wrong. These videos are clickbait. When Asmongold says World War III, Asmongold doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Asmongold has literally become one with the cockroaches. It doesn't matter what he fucking thinks or says about anything. He's a fucking idiot. Or at least, it doesn't matter in terms of what is true. Unfortunately, he has an audience, and those people are stupid enough to listen to what he has to say, so it matters in that sense. But in terms of any connection to the reality of the world around us, it's irrelevant. He's a fucking idiot. So it's clickbait, and it is irresponsible, but I think it's also irresponsible to say that these wars won't lead to World War III.
Peter, what exactly
What the fuck?
are you worried is going to happen because of this?
World War V.
Peter, we've been over this. There has to be a World War III and IV first.
Oh, no, that's the beauty of World War V, Lois. It's so intense, it skips over the other two.
Peter, it doesn't work.
I have spoken!
I have spoken. You'd have thought a man with Yahoo in his name would be more fun. True. True. Don't forget, if you want to stop World War V from happening, you can give me money in the form of bits and subs. What a fucking segue that is. Yes, you can stop World War V by giving me money in the form of bits and subs and memberships and super chats. These are all things that you can do on both of the YouTubes and the Twitches. And that's how we stop World War V. I have spoken!
You have the choice. If UK chooses to get into the war, so that would be the price that it needs to pay. But if there is no involvement, so no, there is no threat at all.
What is it like in Tehran today after the strikes overnight?
The general feeling inside the country...
It's a bit fucked, in all honesty. There's bombs been going off and that. It's unpleasant.
Is unity and support for the retaliation measures by the government. And that's the anger that people are showing toward the Israeli regime.
Some opposition figures would say the opposite. They would say for a very long time people have been deeply unhappy with the Iranian regime, and their refusal to show the international community what they're really doing with nuclear material is what has led to this.
There are some voices, but they are very minor. So those who, like you, would like to call Iranian regime are very minor. There are many opposition figures, even those who have been, for example, in prison in the past, have been involved in the developments 2 or 3 years ago, or in 2009, and many of those figures have actually united the others and have shown solidarity with the government, and they have all standing for Iran.
Well, the Iranian government has brutally repressed, of course, many of the people who have tried to criticize it. But why will Iran not come clean to the world about its nuclear program? They've been formally
you cheeky bastard! You hack piece of shit, Laura Koonsberg! You sat there for fucking 5 minutes, solidly, refusing to ask the person who is the representative of a government that we know is full of crackpot, far-right, lunatic, religious extremists, hasn't signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, has nuclear weapons and refuses to accept it, has never allowed a single IAEA inspector onto their fucking territory, literally imprisoned, what's his fucking name? The guy, the nuclear whistleblower. He'll come to me. Doesn't matter. Anyway, for his crimes, right? His crimes of telling the world that they have nuclear weapons. And you didn't once ask her about that. But yet this guy comes on and it's like, why won't Iran come clean about their nuclear power? Like, motherfucker, they don't have nuclear bombs. We know they don't have nuclear bombs. We know Israel does have nuclear bombs. Fucking hell. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a fucking hack piece of shit. Mordecai Vanunu. Yes. Apologies.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Fucking hell. I don't want to do this anymore, Alex. You're quite fucking right. Have I stopped World War III? Thanks, Kev. Well, not just World War III. World War III, World War IV, and World War V. You have spoken. And I've heard you loud and clear.
In breach of their obligations by the United Nations, and for many years.
The fucking hypocrisy. It stings my fucking anus. Why is Iran not following its obligations under the United Nations? How many United Nations fucking what do you call it? Not agreements. Fucking I've forgotten the word. What am I looking for, chat? The United Nations. I'm going to call them flim-flams. Fuck it. How many flim-flams are Israel in breach of? Like a dozen? 20? I don't fucking know. And those are the ones that even the Americans couldn't fucking stop. Because the Americans will let them fucking cover for everything. And they're still in breach of a million flim-flams. And you didn't ask the fucking Israeli ambassador about any of it. But this guy, who, as far as I'm aware, isn't even like an Iranian government spokesperson. They're just a person in Iran, is having to answer for the Iranian government. Resolution. Flim-flams works. Fine. It's good.
They have not been completely open about what is going on.
It depends on how we judge Iranian performance. Iran has been undergoing the biggest inspection regime by the IAEA for many years, since the JCPOA before that and after that. Iran has been under serious inspections, something much more than the regular inspections that the IAEA is supposed to carry out. But the politicization of the situation by the IAEA has made it difficult. So according to the charter of the IAEA and the regulations of the NPT, Iran has been following all the rules and all the obligations that it was supposed to do. But by politicizing the dossier and claiming that Iran is pursuing a nuclear weapon, the IAEA has been actually deviating from what its nature of activity is supposed to be. So there is no proof that Iran has been following that. And actually, other way around, there has been many reports and proofs that Iran has not been pursuing nuclear weapons.
The fact is that a neutral international body has found Iran to be in breach for the first time of its obligations when it comes to nuclear materials. And the United States, you quote there their intelligence, the United States...
Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but she at no point, not once, raised the fact that not a single IAEA inspector has ever been allowed into any nuclear site in Israel. Not once. And yet Iran apparently breached one time. And that's enough for what? Fucking World War III? Or war, anyway. That's enough to bomb civilian areas because they breached it one time. Well, in that case, Iran... Look, if that's the measurement that we go by, then Iran can just absolutely destroy all of Israel, can't it? By the way, I'm not suggesting they actually have the right to do that, either legally or morally. I'm saying, if the idea that Iran breaking it once means that Israel has carte blanche to just fucking bomb massive swathes of Tehran, and of course then say to the citizens, the millions of citizens Tehran that they have to leave in order for their own safety. Because that's a thing we do. We allow foreign countries to dictate where citizens of other countries are allowed to go in their own country. Anyway, I'm saying, if that gives Israel the right to bomb Tehran and various other places throughout Iran, then surely Iran has the right to do that and a million times more to Israel, right? Maybe?
Its intelligence director has said that what Iran is doing is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons. So why should anyone believe that Iran is not trying to create a nuclear weapon or does not have ambition to create nuclear weapons, which of course Israel sees as an existential threat?
Why? Israel has nuclear weapons. Why is that not an existential threat to Iran? Why is that not an existential threat to everybody? Israel is a rogue state full of religious extremists. The fact that they have nuclear weapons, unchecked nuclear weapons, is a fucking threat to everybody.
According to the Charter of the IAEA, Iran, as a member of the NPT, has the right to enrich uranium. And that's a legal right that Iran has. If there is any claim that Iran is pursuing a nuclear weapon, they need to prove that. It's not possible.
Thank you, non-binary, for gifting a sub to ballistic missile. At least it wasn't an intercontinental ballistic missile, just a regular old ballistic missile, so that's not a problem. That can't reach Britain. Oh God, Zionist or Nazi? Who said this? God. Okay, let's have a look. Right, disclaimer, this quiz is part of research on,
like a baby otter.
Research on perceptions of hate speech and is not meant to hurt anyone's sentiments. That's not how that works. We do not seek to target any ethnicity or religion, political ideology, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, it's basically, who said this? A Nazi or a Zionist? Quote, the group have no right to claim equality with us. If they wish to speak on the streets... Fucking Christ almighty. Stop it. Stop being generous. If they wish to speak on the streets, in lines outside shops or in public transportation, they should be ignored. Not only because they are simply wrong, but because they are a group. So presume they're blanking out the group, right? Who have no right to a voice in the community. Who said that? See, now, I've read a lot of Nazi shit. For those who don't know, I'm a historian. Not necessarily a professional one, but a historian. So I've read lots of Nazis, and that doesn't feel like a Nazi said that to me. So I'm going to say Zionist. Right. All the group will be able to do about it will be to scurry around like drugged cockroaches in a bottle. Cockroaches. The Nazis did use cockroach as a thing. I'll go Nazi for that one. The group aren't educated towards peace, nor do they want it. To me, they are like animals. They aren't human. I think that's a Zionist. I think that's a Zionist. I don't think the Nazis... Did the Nazis accuse the Jews of being warlike? I mean, maybe in a way, but I think that's more like a Zionist. A group of school children were found singing this poem. All the world hates the group. All the main thing is to kill them one by one. With those feet I stepped on my enemy. With those teeth I bit his skin. With those lips I sucked his blood. And I still haven't had enough revenge. Which political ideology was the school affiliated with? That doesn't seem like a Nazi thing. Again, I mean, they were mental, but I can't see them wanting to suck the blood of Jewish people. They literally stopped Jewish people from donating blood so they wouldn't have Jewish blood transfused in a hospital. So I think that has to be a Zionist, right? They will get no food, no water, no fuel. Everything will be closed. We are fighting against human animals and will act accordingly. That's a Zionist because I remember that thing. The human animals thing. That was that fucking Ben Gavir or something at the start of this particular bit of war? What's so horrifying about understanding the entire group is the enemy. What's so horrifying about understanding that the something is the enemy? I'll say that's a Nazi. I don't know. The group always lives from the blood of other people. He needs such murders. The victory will only entirely achieved when the whole world is free of something. That sounds like a Nazi. Because designers say the whole world, because they don't think that Palestinians are everywhere, do they? They just think they're in, like, Greater Israel. Whereas the Nazis did talk about Jewish people as a worldwide, like, threat or whatever. This is a war between two people. Who is the enemy? The something people. It could be the Jewish people or the Palestinian people. Oh, I don't know about that one. I think I might toss a coin. Do I have a coin anywhere? I don't think I do have a coin close to me. No. Okay. Heads Palestinian, tails Jewish. So head was Palestinian, so it would be a Zionist. Right. Even 1 million something are not worth a fingernail of something's group. Are not worth a fingernail. That's got to be Zionist, I think. Finish them off and don't leave anyone behind. Erase the memory of them. Erase them, their families, mothers and children. These animals can no longer live. If you have something group neighbour, don't wait. Go to his home and shoot him. We're going to toss a coin again. Boopity boopity boop. Heads. Oh, so it's Zionist again. Okay. There is only one solution, which is to destroy something completely. We're just going to toss a coin. I've decided. Oh, Nazi. With compulsory transfer of group, we could have a vast area. I support compulsory transfer. I don't see anything immoral in it. Again, it really could be either. Ooh, Zionist. How many more are... Oh, God, there are fucking loads. We're just going to toss a coin for all of them. The group are responsible for the war. The treatment they receive from us is hardly unjust. They have deserved it all. That sounds like a Nazi. Bring down buildings. Bomb without distinction. Stop with this impotence. You have ability. There is a worldwide legitimacy. Flatten a place where group comes from without mercy. Ooh, Nazi. Country is ours. We will protect country against you animals, against you traitors, against you barbarians. You'll never live again. It genuinely could be either. Nazi. I will return to city when the last group member is terminated. I don't care if there are children, elderly, people on crutches. Zionist. Who are the poor women of group? They are all mothers, sisters, wives of enemy fighters. Oh, that's a Nazi. We shall try to spirit the group across the border by procuring employment for it in the transit countries, while denying it any employment in our own country. Expropriation and removal of the group must be carried out discreetly and circumspectly. Nazi. The group is a devil in human form. He should be exterminated root and branch. Oh, God. You really can't tell with these ones, can you? I do not admit that a wrong has been done to the people. In fact, that a stronger race, a higher grade... That's Winston Churchill, Zionist. A stronger race, a higher grade race, or any race, a more worldly wise race, to put it that way, has come in and taken their place. That's a Zionist. That's Winston Churchill. Submit. View my score. Okay. The first one was actually a Nazi. Joseph Goebbels said that about Jewish people. The second one was a Zionist. Raphael Eitan, former Israeli army chief of staff, about Palestinians. That was the drugged cockroach one. There you go. The group aren't educated towards peace. That was Eli Ben Dahan. the Deputy Defence Minister of Israel. Oh, the Zionist school children singing about sucking blood. That's mental. No food, fuel or water. That's a Zionist, as Yoav Galant said that. What's so horrifying is that is the enemy. Aliyat Shaked, the Israeli Minister of Justice, said that the entire Palestinian people is the enemy. The group always lives from the blood of other people. That was Julius Streicher, senior Nazi Party member, about Jewish people. Interestingly, he was executed after the Nuremberg trials. Can we get some lols in chat for Julius Streicher dying on the gallows? The war is between two people. Something is the enemy. Oh no, we already read that one. Even 1 million members of the group. Something fingernails. That's Rabbi Yaakov Perrin. Said that about Arabs. Lovely man. Finish them off, don't leave anyone behind, was Ezra Yachin, an official in the IDF. Awesome. There is only one solution, which is to destroy Palestinians completely. It was a Zionist. By Moshe Feiglin, former Deputy Speaker of the Israeli Knesset. Transfer of people was by a Zionist, David Ben-Gurion, in 1938. Naturally. The group is responsible for war was a Nazi. I fucking knew it. I knew that felt like something I'd heard. It was the Joseph Goebbels. Bring down the buildings was a Zionist. That was Revital Gottlieb of the Likud party. What a surprise. The country is ours. We will protect it against the animals was American Zionist. And a pro-Israel demonstration in Maryland. Lovely. I will return to the city when the blah 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 have been terminated was a resident of Kibbutz Be'eri to an Israeli news channel. Who are the poor women? They are the mothers, sisters and wives, was said by Major General Giori Island of the IDF. What a surprise. We shall try to spirit them across the border by procuring employment. That was a Zionist. Okay. Theodore Herzl, naturally. The group is devil in human form. That was Stryker again. Can we get some lols for him still being dead? And it was Churchy Boy. Churchill said this in response to a growing concern that the Arabs, that large-scale Zionist immigration under the Peel Commission might end up in ethnically cleansing them. Well, there you go. You really can't tell the difference between Zionists and Nazis. Little social experiment for you. In case you were wondering. Thank you to Carl Brown for gifting a membership on YouTube's. Thank you, Rachel, who says Israel is exempt from international laws. Silly. Very true. And thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting another membership. Much love to you all. You're all fucking amazing, and I will suck you all fucking dry.
But to prove something that doesn't exist. If the Americans, the IEA, the Europeans, whoever claims that Iran is pursuing one, needs to provide documents for that, needs to provide evidence for that.
I would just remind viewers that Iran has been found in breach by the international authority and not coming clean about its nuclear program. And it is the Iranian government's stated aim to try to destroy Israel.
Okay, I obviously can't pronounce the name of the Israeli parliament, so I'm just going to call it the fucking rape parliament. Because that's basically what it is. The pro-rape parliament.
Isn't it quite understandable then that they have been seeking to destroy any nuclear facilities the country has?
It doesn't necessarily mean that Iran is pursuing a nuclear bomb. And if Iran has not been clear in some aspects of nuclear activities, which I do not accept that, is pursuing a nuclear bomb because of that. No, if they claim, if IAEA or the E3 claim that Iran is pursuing one, they need to provide the documents for that. They need to provide evidence for that.
Yeah.
Hamid Reza Olamzadeh speaking to us from Tehran. Well, this burgeoning conflict is on the agenda for international leaders gathering in Canada today. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is there, and he had time to catch up with...
Look at this pair of fucking melters. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad he won over Bolivar. Bolivar? Whatever, the fucking Canadian Nazi. But look at these two absolute fucking maltoids. These two centrist, Zionist fucking Maltoid freaks. God, I fucking hate them both.
With Mark Carney, the Canadian leader, over a beer last night. Probably a needed one, because there might be efforts to cool the situation down, not least because of the effect that it might have on the economy when money for public services and the government's cash is already tight. Let's then talk to the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, who's with us this morning. Thank you for coming into the studio.
Oh, God, it's just wall-to-wall pricks today. It's fucking wall-to-wall briefcase xenophobic genocidal bastards. If it's not fucking Zippy Hatterley fucking genociding Palestinians, it's this fucking wanker demociding the disabled or the old people or whatever.
Let's start with this situation. Why is the UK sending jets to the Middle East?
To protect our personnel and bases who are based in the region. That's
time out. One would hope, I mean, firstly, we don't really need bases in that region. That seems like an expense that the Doge could take care of, I'm sure. But secondly, if we've got bases there, why don't they have adequate protection anyway? Like, I would assume, don't get me wrong, I would assume, I'm not a military expert, that we have, at a military base at any given time, enough shit there to protect itself from the bits around it that might threaten it. Why do we need to send extra planes there? Why? What you're doing is escalating. You are fucking escalating. As well as, of course, our refuelling plane. Refuelling Israeli bombers, obviously. Over the skies of Iraq. Brilliant. Wonderful. But, well, you know, we're not escalating or anything, honest. No. It's not like Iran literally have US and British bases all around its fucking borders. No. Then why would they feel threatened? Why would Iran feel threatened? Okay? Why did they build their country so close to our bases and on top of our oil?
Stop it. Get some help.
Crazy talk. Thank you, BB2854, for subscribing with Prime. Don't forget, everyone, if you've got Prime, if you've got Amazon Prime, you can attach that your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account for nothing, and you get a free subscription every month, which you can use on good channels or shit channels that need the money, like my one.
why we're sending assets, including jets. But Keir Starmer was very clear yesterday, and will be at the G7, that we are urging de-escalation. We're very concerned.
No, you can't say we are sending more planes there, but we call on everyone else to do de-escalation. You're escalating. You're sending planes to our bases that are already on Iran's fucking border. We already are threatening Iran by having our bases. Because you'll notice there are no fucking Iranian bases in Ireland or Norway or France. There are British and American bases all around Iran. So we already are threatening the Iranian government by our presence in the area, having already overthrown at least one previous Iranian government, of course. And now we're sending more planes there, whilst at the same time saying everyone else has to de-escalate. To which I think the Iranian government are perfectly within their rights to say, suck my fucking big fat Iranian dick.
And about what is happening, the implications for the region, but also the implications for the rest of the world. And so very much the message that the Prime Minister is taking to the G7 this week is to encourage calm heads and talks and not further escalation of this conflict.
And can you tell us where the jets are going? Are they going just to British
I'm
bases
not going
in
to
Cyprus,
comment.
or are they going further afield?
I'm not going to comment on operational matters. Things are obviously very fast moving, but we do have personnel, we do have bases in the region, and it is right, given everything.
Why? We don't have any reason to have bases in the region anymore. We're not an imperial power, basically. We used to have imperial holdings all throughout that region, including bits of Iran. We don't anymore, and we're a country that apparently doesn't have enough money to heat its houses for its old people, allow disabled people to live in any kind of modicum of peace and prosperity. We don't have any money to fix schools or build roads or anything of that kind. But apparently we do have money to have military bases in the Arabian Gulf. For some reason. Why is that? Why are we doing that? Either we're broke or we ain't. And I get the feeling you might be lying to us, Rach.
Thing that's happening, that we send additional assets there as a precautionary measure.
And might the UK support and help Israel attacking Iran? And just to be clear with people watching this morning, on some occasions, previously on a couple of occasions, the UK has helped Israel when they have been...
On a couple of occasions, every single day for months, we've sent out at least one spy plane for Israel. We're now sending out fucking refueling planes for them. Like, alright lads, if you want to go and fight for Israel, go for it. I've said this before, when Tommy Robinson has his IDF shirt on, go on then, sign up, lad. Go and sign up for the IDF. You want to go get your legs blown off for the Zionist entity? You fucking go for it, lad. Go and strap your tin hat on and fuck off into the desert. Go on your way. Fucking clowns.
Been attacked by Iran. Will the UK help Israel this time?
Well, the second thing that we have done in the past is defend Israel from attacks. We have never been involved in attacking with Israel.
That is a lie. We have sent reconnaissance planes from RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus every single day since October 7th. Sometimes multiple times a day, but at least once a day. Over Gaza. To do reconnaissance. And we know, because people have tracked this shit, that places that we have reconned have then been bombed almost instantaneously by the Israeli forces. We have been giving away areas, not always military areas, where Palestinians are, that have then been bombed and killed by the IDF. We are complicit. Your government, Rachel, are complicit in the genocide of the Palestinian people. You have blood on your fucking hands, and you're even lying about it. There's a special place in hell for you. There's also a special place at The Hague, and I hope you get to see both of those things.
I think those two things are very different, but I'm not going to comment on what may or may not happen. This is a very fast-moving situation. We do believe that Israel has a right to defend itself. We are very concerned around Iran's nuclear ambitions. That would be incredibly dangerous for Britain and the rest of the...
Yeah, by the way, everyone go and follow Madcat Scotty Eye / Katie Marshall, who is fucking cool. The United Nations Naval Facility is based in Bahrain, originally known as HMS Jafar, as part of the Municipal in 1950 years. Oh, so why have we got a fucking base in Bahrain? What the fuck do we need that for? The UK naval facility was officially opened by the Crown Prince of Bahrain, Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, and the Duke of York. That would be the pedophile, the obvious pedophile, Prince Andrew. It's rare you get to stand next to a crown prince of a petrostate, and you're the morally bad one of the two. Like, that's a difficult one, isn't it? When you're the arsehole. God damn, that is really bad. That place needs to be fucking closed. We don't need it. We don't need sweaty nonce military bases. Thanks, actually. Also, what part of Britain is near Bahrain that we need to defend exactly? Last time I looked, Britain kind of ended, sort of, you know, in the North Atlantic, not in the Arabian Gulf. Why the fuck are we in Bahrain? Why? Very strange.
The world if Iran were to develop a nuclear weapon, and so we share those concerns, and we share the concerns as well of the IAEA, who have been very clear in their report. And it's
Are you going to pressure the Israeli government to accept IAEA inspectors? Because again, you seem very intent on what the IAEA has to say about Iran. Couldn't give two fucks about the fact that they've never once been allowed into Israel. Why is that?
very disappointing that Iran has not cooperated fully with the IAEA.
But Chancellor, do you believe, as
Iran hasn't fully cooperated. Israel hasn't cooperated to 1%. It hasn't cooperated ever with anything to do with the IAEA. The fucking double standard. The double standard is breathtaking. Fucking... Oh, I'm going to lose my fucking shit with this. It's like watching Israeli propaganda, man. It's fucking... Oh, it's infuriating.
Israeli ambassador believed very clearly and very firmly, she claimed that Iran presented an imminent threat to Israel. Do you agree with that?
Well, we are very concerned around the nuclear weapons programme, but our plea to both sides and to all those involved is to de-escalate. That is the priority right now, because de-escalate...
You are escalating! Oh, honestly, I'm going to have a fucking aneurysm and a heart attack and an anal prolapse. Your government, right now, are escalating. You can't, in good faith, say, we're aiming at de-escalation. Fuck off. Fuck all the way off. Thank you, non-binary, for gifting a sub to the Hague Court. I didn't realise that you had a Twitch account. In between going after like Serbian warlords, do they play a bit of Dota? They stream a couple of hours, you know. Everyone's going to wind down, even human rights lawyers.
Is what is necessary to make progress on a whole range of issues and to protect people in the region, but also more widely. You know, we've seen civilian deaths in Israel overnight, indiscriminate attacks from Iran on...
Really? So you notice indiscriminate attacks on civilians sometimes in some parts of that region. Interesting to compare that to the way in which she has described the unfortunate events in Gaza.
On Israel. I am very concerned about what is happening, and that's why our focus is on de-escalation.
But you are also sending jets to the region. I think a lot of people watching might wonder, that's a bit contradictory, saying, oh, calm things down. But actually moving military assets to that part of the world.
But we have personnel and we have bases in the region.
So you're not in a position to go on about de-escalation because you literally have bases. We literally have sweaty nonce fucking naval facilities. By the way, I'm not suggesting everyone on the naval base is a sweaty nonce, just the guy who opened it. I don't know about the other guy, he might also be a sweaty nonce, I have no idea. Yeah, and if we don't have enough shit there to protect people anyway, then what good is it? What good is the fucking Air Force at all? Or the Navy, or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. We're doing escalation. We're going, calm down, everyone. Calm down. It's like, we don't need to fight. We don't need to fight as I'm pulling my Glock out. Like, fucking hell. By the way, I obviously don't have a Glock.
And it is our duty as a government to protect our personnel and our bases. We have military personnel in the Middle East. it would be a dereliction of duty on our part if we weren't doing
Yeah,
everything.
and I'm pretty sure Iran weren't indiscriminate. That's not to say they didn't target areas that were sensitive, of course. Because, ironically, of course, Israel does the very thing it claims that Hamas does by having military bases in the basement of, like, hospitals. It's literally doing human shields.
That was needed to protect those. It is a fast-moving situation, and it is absolutely right as a precautionary measure that we send additional assets, including jets, to the region. That's the right thing to do. I think it's what people would expect us to do, given how fast-moving the situation is.
And what would your advice be to British people who are in the...
Thank you, Rachel. Does Andrew still have custody over Liz's corgis? I mean, those corgis are quite old, so I think they're sort of too old for him to really do anything with. But I don't know if he has access to the corgis or not. Maybe Sausage Fingers had them put down. Maybe she had them she had them killed, and there was a Viking funeral. Because once the TV cameras cut off from all of that bollocks on the TV, we don't know how she was buried. I'm going to go with Viking funeral. With mummified corgis. Which is fucking dark, even for me.
Region.
Well, to follow the Foreign Office advice, that is likely as well to change as the situation...
Oh yeah, Britain has said that we're advising British citizens to avoid travel to Israel. Okay. And by the way, oh hang on, did I bookmark this? I hope I did. You know, I told you the other day, like to look out for Israelis fleeing the country, because obviously. Here we go, live from Israel. They're all rushing, they're all scurrying to the airport to get out. Now, I don't blame them. Civilians wanting to escape war zones is a regular thing, but it does rather show you how committed some of these birthright people are to Israel. That they're like bum rushing the fucking airport to get the hell out. Like, fair weather friends, anybody? Fucking hell.
On the ground changes, so I would encourage people to look at the Foreign Office advice. There already has been advice given, but to continue following that based on the latest developments.
Why this is relevant, particularly to you as Chancellor, of course, and to people watching at home, is, as we've been talking about with Lord Brown, if this becomes a prolonged conflict, there are implications for the price of oil. Now, I just want to show people actually on the screen what happened to the price of oil when this news broke. You can see that then actually is what happened before when Russia invaded Ukraine. I was going to make the comparison because this is what happened when Russia invaded Ukraine. It turned into a prolonged conflict. And what we saw was a spike in the oil price and then, of course, a surge in the bills that people had to pay in their energy prices at home. How concerned are you that...
Israel has told airlines not to let Israelis leave the country on their planes. What the fuck? So what? So now it's like it's a Jewish prison. They've turned all of Israel into a Jewish prison. If you're Israeli, you just can't fucking leave. They're just not gonna let you go. What the fuck, man? Oh, the Israeli government are such authoritarian bastards. You're not going to allow people... You are not going to allow people to fucking leave a war zone. You're a monster. Honestly, you're a fucking monster.
Might happen again.
Obviously monitoring this very closely as the government. You can see from the chart that energy prices, oil prices are still lower than they were at the start of this year, but there's absolutely no complacency from myself or the Treasury. And as well, the concerns are around shipping routes, both for oil and gas exports, but also more widely because so much goods trade passes through the Middle East. So obviously we're following this closely. It's one of the reasons, Laura, that we are urging de-escalation, because obviously the impact on the region of the Middle East is immense, but the impacts on all of us are immense. We've seen in the last few years that...
So, again, just the little tweet on the screen there. Honestly, translating anything you see in Hebrew on Twitter is a fucking wild ride, because you have no idea what it's going to be. But every accusation is a confession. They knew exactly what they were doing. They're fucking turning us into Gaza. Ooh boy. Again, fucking around. So they seem to enjoy the fucking around element of this. The finding out element, they're not so enamored by. They're not really feeling the finding out so much.
Things that unfold far from our borders have huge implications for the UK. And let me just add this. It's one of the reasons why this week in the spending review, we announced additional money for defence to take it up to 2.6% of GDP within 2 years, but also investing in our energy security at home, because we've found in recent years that a lack of investment in our own domestic energy production has left us exposed. And so the investment in nuclear energy, in offshore wind, or in onshore wind, in carbon capture and hydrogen is all about ensuring that we are more self-sufficient as a nation in something which is absolutely essential for our everyday lives. Energy security is increasingly national security, which is why there was substantial investment in energy security.
So you should really nationalise it then, because why would you have national security concerns in the behest of private industry? Oh, that's right, you're just lying.
Security last week.
And that's something that you promised to do, and it's something that you seem to be, following through on with lots and lots of extra cash, but that will not have an impact potentially for many, many years to come.
Well, some of it
so if
will.
we end up in a similar situation to what happened in Ukraine, the Conservative government then stepped in and paid everybody's energy bills. Is that something that you might be willing to consider if we end up in that situation?
Well, first of all, some of what we're doing will have an impact in the shorter term. So, for example, we put substantial...
God, she sucks the life out of conversation, man. She's like the oral Grim Reaper. She just fucking kills it. And not in like the good way, like, oh, you're killing it. Like, no, she's literally murders discourse. She's fucking awful. Oh my God, she's bad. And the things she's saying are grotesque, obviously, but like, it's difficult to even do analysis on it because she's literally putting me to sleep. She's a fucking, she's a human Xanax. Is Xanax the one? What's the one that puts you to sleep? One of them. Chloroform. Fuck it. She's human chloroform.
Investment last week into home insulation to take £600 off the bill.
Hey, hello, my left eye and the my left ears. My left irises? I don't know. Anyway, welcome aboard. We're watching more Zionists lying for Zionism. Brilliant. Everyone go and follow my left eye. Otherwise, I will stab you, ironically, in your right eye. I won't do that. That would be very violent and unnecessary.
Of millions of families in Britain, focusing on those on lower incomes, because again, one of the challenges in the last few years is people's energy bills are very high.
She literally is.
Poorly.
She literally is Colin Robertson from What We Do in the Shadows. She's Colleen Robertson. She's a fucking energy vampire.
Insulated. So some of this could have an impact in quite a short term. But, I'm not going to take anything off the table. We're not anywhere near that stage at the moment. Indeed, in July, average energy bills are going to come down by about £100 a year.
Oh yeah, and My Left Eyes, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free and makes you 19.4% hotter, according to studies that I've made up in my head.
That is very welcome news, and the price of petrol at the pumps is significantly lower than it was at the start of the year. But as I said in the earlier part of this interview, things are moving rapidly,
And they are
as a
moving.
government, we'll follow that closely and always do everything in our power to protect ordinary working people in this country.
And things are moving very, very quickly, and as if we needed a reminder that the world is currently...
Did you really do the best you could to protect the working people of Port Talbot? Or Grangemouth? Don't think you did.
Very volatile. Do you admit that if this becomes a prolonged conflict, that the carefully presented numbers that you put forward in your spending review a few days ago, that just blows it all out of the window? There are already lots of experts saying, actually, your sums don't really add up and you're probably going to have to put taxes up already.
Well, we're a strong economy with strong foundations, and we have...
Yay! Sound bites! Woo! Don't address the actual concerns of the people or the question that was fucking asked. Just reel off a load of sound bites. Woo! Oh, I fucking hate politicians so much. Honestly, they are the fucking scum of the earth. Oh, it's infuriating. They're as bad as the journalists, man. They really are.
Weathered other shocks, including earlier this year when President Trump announced those global tariffs, and people said, oh, Britain won't be able to get a deal, this is going to be devastating. Well, we did...
You didn't get a deal. No. Time out. No, I'm not fucking having this. What you did was a bullshit deal where we carved out a few little pieces and God knows what you had to give to fucking get that, right? What people said was, you're not going to get a free trade deal because every government now of both either Tory or Lib Dem, Tory or Labour stripe, right, have both tried to get a free trade deal out of America, and America ain't fucking budging. Because America don't need a free trade agreement with us. America gets everything it wants from us without having to give us anything. It's not going to give us fucking statehood, even though Trump has joked about it. It's not going to give us, and the people don't fucking want it, and they're not going to give us a free trade agreement, because they've already got us over a fucking barrel. We've already bent ourselves open and opened ourselves up to it, right? The Americans already own us lock, stock and barrel. Why the fuck would they give us anything? So don't lie and say we've got the deal that no one thought could be done. No, you didn't do that. You didn't do the free trade agreement at all. You're no closer to getting a free trade agreement now than the Tories were 10 years ago, or that fucking Boris Johnson was 5 years ago, or that Keir Starmer was on the day he became Prime Minister. It's not going to happen. Stop lying to yourselves and stop lying to the British people.
Get a deal with the United States. We are still the only country to have secured a deal with the United States, and in addition we've got trade deals with India and the EU. So we are working hard as a government to strengthen our economy, to grow our economy in a way that creates good jobs here in...
I did see that non-binary. A pound land got sold for £1. It's in like 400 billion quid's worth of debt, but you know, yeah.
Britain, paying decent wages to put more money in people's pockets.
But you can't deny that you have left yourself relatively little room for manoeuvre in the way that you set out your spending plans for the years ahead. And one of our viewers, Ashley, has noticed this very much and has a question for you. Ashley wants to know, under your stewardship, debt costs are up, tax is up, unemployment is up. Why do you think the economy has failed to show material improvement? Some people might think there's quite a straightforward answer to that, is that in April, you slapped billions of pounds of extra tax on businesses who are the people who get the economy to grow.
Well, it was...
Wow, not only have we got fucking Zionist propaganda, now we're getting neoliberal propaganda. Woo! From the totally not fucking captured BBC. No, right-wing forces haven't institutionally captured the BBC. No, they're still the awesome fucking neutral party that they always were. Honest!
The decisions we made on tax last year, including the national insurance contribution increase, but also extending the energy profits levy on the profits that the energy giants are making, VAT on private schools, getting rid of the non-dom tax status, that meant that we're able to invest £29 billion extra a year in the National Health Service at the spending review. So I've made my choices. I will happily defend my choices. The spending review this week focused on the defence of our country, the National Health Service, and growing the economy. But if you look at the year to date, the economy has grown. In the first quarter of this year, we were the fastest growing economy in G7.
Well, it shrank again in April, but you mentioned...
But it was revised up for... But it was also revised up for previous months. Now, look, April was a very challenging month. It was the month when the President of the United States announced those tariffs. At that stage, we hadn't...
And then you sold the country out in order to get 25% or less on fucking steel. You cock.
Secured the trade deal with the US. Indeed, we hadn't secured the trade deals with India and the EU. So as a government, we are...
Literally, we came out of this worse than the fucking penguins. The penguins won the trade war. They took fucking Taco Don from Queens to the fucking cleaners. And penguins are loving it. Britain, God knows what we had to give up. Presumably we're all going to have to eat just American hormone beef and fucking chickens that glow in the dark or whatever. But we did get 25% less on the steel. Fucking hell. Embarrassing. Take a leaf from Chairman Xi's book, right? Do nothing, win.
Are focused on growing our economy to make working people better off. That was the focus. Defence, the health service, and growing our economy in the spending review last week. And that work continues. And it's not just about money. We're making planning reforms, regulatory reforms, pension reforms, are all focused on growing the economy and making working people better off.
And there are so many things we could discuss about the economy, and we hope that you'll come back and speak to us again soon about all of those important issues. But obviously we've been focusing on the Middle East because of what's happening today. Just on a final issue, one of the things that the government didn't really want to focus on was the idea of having a national inquiry into young girls being appallingly treated by grooming gangs. The Prime Minister suggested it was only sort of right-wingers who were trying to stir this up, people who...
Yeah, because it is. Because they're not doing this for any good reason. In the same way that Elon Musk isn't doing it for any good reason. They're doing it because they think they can get racist coin out of it.
Wanted this to happen or raised the issue were sometimes even labelled as being racist.
Because they are!
It's wrong to dismiss the idea of having...
okay, there are two things here. Talking about, grooming gangs is not inherently racist. Right-wingers bringing up these grooming gangs in order to attack Asian members of the community is racist. Do you understand? Do you see the difference? The shell game they're playing here? No, of course not.
Having this big national inquiry, because now he's going to have to, and he's announced it's going to happen.
We've never dismissed the concerns of victims, and those are the...
You did. No, you did. Come on now. You definitely did. Now, not as badly as Boris Johnson when he said that Britain had spaffed money up the wall on these inquiries. No. But still, you did.
Most important people in these discussions. When Keir Starmer was Director of Public Prosecutions...
Was he?
Took forward the first...
Whoa. Why have you doxed him? Why have you doxed him? He has never mentioned that he was the Director of Public Prosecutions at the... Why have you doxed him with bringing up private information about his previous employment? Next you'll be telling me his dad was a fucking toolmaker. On Father's Day, no less. Oh, shit, I just doxed him. Oh, fuck. Oh, his NHS mum will be very disappointed. Oh, fuck!
Prosecutions
when he was Prime Minister, he repeatedly refused the requests of people saying there has to be a national inquiry to clear this up once and for all.
Well, you know, the Conservatives could have done another national inquiry, but they didn't. We've been focused on implementing the recommendations of the Alexis J review and other reviews because those recommendations had just been sitting on the table. But the Prime Minister wanted to assure himself he was doing everything that was necessary, which is why he asked Baroness Casey to do this rapid review. She said at the outset that she didn't think there was a need for a national inquiry, but during the course of her rapid review, she's concluded that a national inquiry alongside the local inquiries to give statutory powers is the right way forward. And the Prime Minister has preempted the publication of the report this week and said that he will accept the recommendations, including for a national inquiry alongside those local inquiries that have already got going.
So has Keir Starmer changed his mind about the fact that...
Well, I think Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, has always been really focused, as he was when he was Director of Public Prosecutions, on the victims, and not grandstanding, but actually doing the practical things to ensure that something like this never happens again, but also to ensure that the victims of this horrific
Tell us who was the
over
head of
many,
public
many
prosecutions
years
again.
is got to grips with, and that people have answers to their questions.
Mention it
That's
a
in the
third
focus
time.
of this Prime Minister and this government. We asked Louise Casey to do this piece of work to make sure that no stone was left unturned in the search for justice for the
Yeah, you set up another Quango. Yeah, we know.
victims.
OK. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, thank you very much.
Absolutely fucking
Sunday, and
awful.
That report from Dame Louise Casey.
Absolutely awful propagandist shit from start to finish. Embarrassing from Rachel Reeves, embarrassing from Laura Koonsberg.
Casey will be published tomorrow. Now, of course, remember, as ever, we want to know what you think. You can email us, koonsberg@bbc.co.uk. If you're social media minded, you can use the hashtag BBC Laura K.
I wouldn't email you a picture of my shit.
On the screen, 08000 282 161. And we'll hear from you perhaps later in the show and in our newsletter on Thursday. Let's then try and digest some of that with our panel here. Christiane, people might not have heard it on your microphone. You just said, phew. So what did you make?
Just because there's a lot to digest, as you said.
There is a lot to digest. Yeah. So let's start then with the Israeli ambassador. What did you make of what Tzipi Hatovali had to say?
I think the absolute fact is that the whole world has always been concerned about Iran's nuclear ambitions. There was a moment of actual successful diplomacy which culminated in the JCPOA in 2015. In other words, the nuclear deal that was enshrined at the UN. Iran was declared totally in compliance of its...
See, the one journalist here is actually fucking correcting some mistakes here. Good. Fucking hell. Hello there, 255 or Clan H Fandango. Kev, you know what was a realisation I had a while ago? Right-wingers are only really against the idea of people grooming their kids or the women in their families because they view it as a property violation. That's why they don't really care about people abusing their own family members or spouses. Exactly, yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. They see their children and they'll say, like, they're coming over here stealing our women like we own all of the white women. Like, it's ridiculous, yeah. They do see it in, like, proprietarian terms, yeah. It's very homesteady, but with, you know, human beings, which is fucking gross.
Responsibilities, even though the West did not lift all the sanctions as it should have done. What happened then? President Trump decided, under pressure from Bibi Netanyahu, who has never wanted these deals ever, he has always wanted to destroy Iran's capability, right?
Yes, Christian.
Under pressure from Netanyahu and then MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he pulled out thinking he could do a better deal. He couldn't. He achieved nothing except Iran enriching to a higher degree. So Iran now has approximately 400 kilograms of enriched uranium to 60%. That is almost at breakout. It can easily go to 90% if it wants to, and that's 8 bombs. So people are very concerned. But there were these talks going on, and my reporting suggests that far from they didn't want to go to a deal, Iran was really wanting to go to a new deal. And just before these attacks, I heard that the head of the...
I am wearing an England shirt. I own one England shirt. What do you mean I'm never not wearing an England shirt? I wasn't wearing an England shirt. I haven't worn this shirt for fucking months. What? Greasy Boiler, you owe me a subscription for your lies. It's the only way you can cleanse yourself of your sin. Monster.
The negotiation and the delegation was feeling optimistic about this round of talks.
The Iranian delegation.
Yes, the Iranian delegation, exactly.
Lord Berman, when you look at the decades of bitterness between these two countries, do you think it's possible that they might have been on the way to finding an accommodation?
I think it's possible. I mean, I was watching very carefully the earlier negotiations, and I knew the chief negotiator of the US one extremely well.
Is anyone going to mention that they fucking murdered the chief negotiator for Iran? No? Not going to mention that at all. Way to go. Award-winning fucking journalism.
I think that it's very important to do this step by step. So we're now in a situation where they've got highly enriched uranium, probably not enough bomb quality, but someone has to now de-escalate it. I think if we don't de-escalate in some way, which is a combination of diplomacy and force...
They really should give Christiane Amanpour this job, yes, because she's a proper journalist. I don't always agree with her and stuff, but look, she's a proper journalist who cares about, like, facts and things. Whereas Laura Kuenssberg is just a fucking Tory/Reform/Israel gob job merchant.
Someone will make a mistake. And I think when the red mist goes above everyone's eyes, as they're very angry with each other, something bad happens.
Yes, enriched uranium doesn't necessarily mean they're building a bomb. Yes, that is also true.
What do you mean by that?
Well, someone just suddenly decides to attack someone because they think it's a good idea. Uncoordinated.
Yeah, that's what Israel's doing to all of its neighbours. All of the fucking time.
Coordinated activity can happen, certainly if the chain of command isn't perfect.
You, listening to the Israeli ambassador, what went through your mind? Because Israel clearly does see Iran not coming clean about exactly what it's been doing. They have been told off this week, reported formally for the first time in 20 years by the International Atomic Authority as being in breach of the rules.
And you're not going to mention that Israel has never once complied with the IAEA, ever. It is in 100% breach of its obligations. No, not going to mention that at all. Cool. Very good award-winning journalism.
Rules.
Well, it feels like they've been waiting for an opportunity, and the opportunity's presented itself, and they've taken it. And it's very concerning to me that we're sending jets out to support this, when all the talk should really be of de-escalation. And indeed, if the Prime Minister, the government really wanted to show that they were serious about de-escalating in the Middle East, they should have been talking about stopping selling arms to Israel and even pulling back their training programs for the Israeli military.
Absolutely.
So I think the issue here is, obviously the US is terribly important in this. Israel...
Terribly important.
So too is the world. And somehow there has to be some...
I don't know why the TV chef is there, but he's actually speaking a lot of sense. He's a TV chef, Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall, the guy you just heard speaking a second ago. But he's made some very good points. He shouldn't be there, really, because he's a fucking television cook. He's a glorified microwave. But, you know, fair play to him. He makes a lot more sense than the fucking politicians they have on the shithouse show.
Accommodation of the world to push whether it's diplomacy or hard diplomacy or force, to get some sort of de-escalation. That's, I think, what's needed here.
I mean, in the spending review, the Foreign Office budget's been cut. I mean, that's where the diplomacy happens. The money's going on more arms and more bombs. That doesn't sound like the right priority.
The truth of the matter here is that the only people with actual heavyweight influence over Israel is the United States, right? And I think we absolutely do.
To the point where, like, Britain wasn't even forewarned about the attacks on Iran. Britain wasn't even warned. You'd think, like, look, we've been so far up Israel's arse. You'd think they'd give us, like, a heads up on this, right? And they fucking didn't. Hang on, where are we? Oh, there's a little puffin. Hello. Where are we? No. Where are we? Did I not bookmark it? Oh, the Nussie was on fucking point. Jesus. Where is the fucking thing? No, apparently I didn't bookmark it. But anyway, they didn't give us pre-warning because, like, fuck Britain, I guess. I don't know.
Have to take a moment and say that President Trump, up until now, has failed on all the big foreign policy issues that he promised that he would solve, and quickly.
Oh yeah, the fucking Ukraine deal he could get in one day.
Get the fuck, like I'm not playing with all these mutants.
Yeah, the fucking Ukraine peace deal he could get in one day. That hasn't fucking worked out. Because anyone checked on the fucking MAGA communists to see if they're all right? Because apparently we were told that Trump was the peace candidate. Trump was the candidate of peace. No new wars under Trump. Fucking joke. Unbelievable shit. Hey, hello James from the internet and the James from the internet people. I don't fucking know. What do you call your people? Right, yeah, hello. We're watching the Zionists talk shit. It's fucking infuriating. Everyone go and follow James from the internet. If you're new here, you can hit the follow button. Or even if you're not new here, you can still hit the follow button. It's free and gives me an erection. Actually, it doesn't. I can't get an erection. I'm too fat.
He told voters he was going to end all
Yeah,
wars,
but all
more
of
or
them.
less.
And guess
Yeah.
what? They've got worse. And there is no leadership. He's hollowed out his negotiating teams, his foreign policy teams, his national security teams. It's all gut. It's all, I'll give them 60 days, and on day 61 we'll bomb them. Anybody knows that an actual negotiation takes months, if not years. That's what the JCPOA was.
But Lord Brown, with the situation that we're in now in 2024...
I can't wait to see what fucking false flag they're going to pull to get America involved in this war. What do we reckon, chat? Sinking an American ship? Terrorism in the USA? We'll wait and see.
A lot of people would point to the international institutions you and I have trusted to sort these things out over many years and feel they've kind of been hollowed out. They don't work in the way that they used to. You've got an American president who doesn't believe in those international structures. So you know lots of the characters involved here in the region. What is the possibility?
But I think you have to create coalitions for purpose here. I think a lot of the institutions have been broken up effectively. And so now we're into the business of organising ourselves into coalitions of people who are powerful, saying you've got to stop this, and if you do, then something good will happen.
Well, America's already in it, but I mean like boots on the ground, like Iraq style. Like, they'd have to pull off, not necessarily a 9/11 size attack, but like, remember the Maine, fuck Spain type, Like a US ship's going to have to sink or something. Gulf of Tonkin type shit,
And a lot of time in Iran, in the way distant past. There's something about Iranians that actually they're very sophisticated, and I think they would like a better life. They wouldn't necessarily like to be associated with one power bloc or another, but I think they'd like a better life. And I think they would get that, and they understand if something could happen.
Just so I can say, that is...
Well, Charlie Kirk's an anti-Semite. I don't give a fuck what Charlie Kirk says. But the only thing I want Charlie Kirk to say is, I've been diagnosed with butt cancer, and I've got 6 months to live. That's the only thing I want to hear Charlie Kirk say. Or, where did that bus come from? Something like that.
Absolutely correct, which is why Iranians have voted for relatively more moderate presidents, because they think that they will make a deal with the West to get the sanctions lifted and to enable them to have an actual relationship with the rest of the world. If you ask the Iranian people, they don't want any of this. They are,
and of course, it's very important to say the Iranian government and the Iranian people are not the same. The Iranian government repressed political criticism, and there have been all sorts of crackdowns on anybody trying to disagree with
But
it.
I think it's very important to ask about this why now, because as you pointed out to Ambassador Hotlevi, the US intelligence does not say that it has noticed a weaponization, not now, and even I checked with the outgoing Biden administration, it didn't notice it then. So it really is a question of why Israel did it now, and it may be because of the amount of stockpile at 60%, which could be turned into 90%.
And Lord Brown, just as we're coming to an end of this discussion, but you mentioned there the different blocks. Now,
I don't know what isekai means. If that's some of your fucking weird Japanese cartoons, stop it. We will not have that level of nerdery on this fucking channel.
we know now we are living in a world where the former boss of NATO called it the axis of authoritarian states. Russia and Iran, of course, have been dealing with each other. I know that you have met Vladimir Putin on many occasions.
Many times, many.
What will he think at this moment? Does this help?
He'll think, I'm shitting blood again. The cancer's killing me. I just want bad people to get cancer. Is that so bad? Does that make me a monster? I just want evil people to get cancer and shit blood and die in Minecraft.
help him? Does this give him opportunity?
Well, he will say two things, I think, as he said. One is, come with me and I'll stockpile your highly enriched uranium and I'll get it out the way for the world. On the other hand, come with me and get everyone off my patch, which is Ukraine. And so I think he's using this as he would as an incredibly clever negotiator, thinking through not just this present step, but 4 steps ahead.
Isekai is Japanese for another world. You usually get there by being hit by a truck. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. As long as he gets hit by the truck, yeah, cool. Fine.
And you never get it on the first move. Never get it on the first move.
Never!
All three of you, thanks for now. We'll be back with you at the end of the programme. Well, this morning, Iran has said that Israel crossed a red line with its attacks. The two countries have continued to strike each other overnight. An oil depot in Tehran has been targeted, and you can see some of the images of that there, while at least 4 people were killed in an Iranian strike.
Oh wow, that looks like 1 inch of Gaza that Israel has been doing for 2 fucking years now. Well, a lot longer than that, but like October the 7th, 2023 onwards.
On Tamra, a city in the north of Israel. Well, the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has called Iran an enemy of the people, which has attempted terrorist attacks on UK soil.
Didn't she say that about Doctor Who as well, though? I think she did. It was something like that.
And she said Israel should not be condemned for trying to stop Iran getting nuclear weapons.
Massive cock!
Well, with us now this morning, the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride. Thanks very much indeed for coming in. Do you support, first of all, the government...
Hey, bunny in the box. What's the haps? Brummy in the house. Let's go. Mel Stride. Oh, good lord. Talking of people who should get cancer in Minecraft.
In their decision to send jets to the region.
Yes, I think it's the right thing. We've got assets out there in the UAE.
Yay! Escalation is always good.
In Oman, we've got Akratoria and Cyprus. They need to be protected given that Iran has suggested that they may now be under threat.
Right,
so,
twatted. They're being moved from Akratoria to these other bases in the Middle East. Akratoria is now less safe than it was.
I think it's the right thing to act in that way.
And what do you think of the action that Israel took attacking Iran?
On the basis that we assume that they were getting close to producing a viable nuclear weapon, substantiated by the fact that they have withdrawn from cooperation from the IAEA and the UN and that.
Wow, Israel has never ever been in compliance with the IAEA, you cunt. A little bit of ASMR for you there.
Kind of oversight and so on, that they're sitting on 60% enriched uranium when for their civil nuclear purposes they would only need 2 or 3% or thereabouts. I think it is important that we make sure that Iran does not become a nuclear capable power.
I don't know if she stopped shaking. I have no idea.
Israel has done. Attacking Iran's nuclear facilities.
So yes,
killing its military
on that
leadership.
basis, we cannot allow a situation where Iran is able to become a nuclear power. However many warheads they may be able to produce, that is something.
Well, 0 is the answer. 0.
Something that would need to be stopped. It would be a present danger within the region and to the wider world.
But there were meant to be diplomatic talks taking place today with that aim. Christian has said the Iranians were even feeling positive about what that might have been able to achieve. So I just do want to press you for an explicit answer here. Do you support the action that Israel took to strike at Iran in this way?
So I think I've answered that, Laura. I've said that on the basis that the intelligence is that they were driving towards a nuclear device capable of doing what nuclear weapons can do and threatening their neighbours and so on, then I think it's quite reasonable to go in there and ensure that that does not.
So you're in favour of aggressive war, which is a crime, an international crime. Awesome.
Happen.
But what we building a nuclear weapon.
What we now need to do is to focus on de-escalation, because clearly quite.
But you're in support of sending more fucking planes there. That's not de-escalation, is it? That's escalation.
Side of the nuclear aspects of this, the implications for oil prices, equity prices around the world, and indeed, given what may follow, an impact on trading and inflation, and therefore interest rates and the general state of the world economy, it's very important that we do get de-escalation happening here.
That, of course, is why it's such a concern for people at home, not just looking at the loss of life and the tensions in the region, but this is something, if it's prolonged, could hit all of us in our pockets. On Friday...
That's literally all they care about. Like, not the fact that, like, tens of millions of people could die or some shit. That we have a rogue state with nuclear weapons threatening a rogue state without nuclear weapons. Both of which countries are led by fucking religious extremist wankers who would think nothing of sacrificing either or both fucking populations, frankly, to protect themselves. Because they're religiously inspired, not rationally, you know, led. But, you know, the price of eggs might go up. And that we can't have that. Brown people dying, who cares? Egg prices, now it's real shit.
Leader Kemi Badenoch announced the Conservatives would get rid of the windfall tax on oil and gas companies. That, of course, leaves a hole in the books. Why should consumers have to fill that?
So what we need is a completely different economy, and we will put together what that will look like in the run-up to the next general election. We have plenty of time to do that. But can I just make a general point, which is that we should have a much stronger economy to lean into the kind of challenges that we're discussing this morning.
Just press the strong economy button. It's easy.
And we haven't got that because this government took the wrong choices. So in coming to office, it loaded up taxes on businesses.
If he says Chagos, I'm going to fucking lose it. If he mentions Chagos, I'm going to actually fucking lose my shit.
That has destroyed growth and in part been passed on by higher prices, as has taxing and borrowing and spending vast amounts of money. That has kept inflation higher for longer, interest rates higher for longer, and then in terms of our national debt that they're adding to, of course, the servicing costs on that are now running at about 100 billion a year, which is twice what...
Is he in the shadow cabinet? He's the shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. In theory, if the Tories became the government, this would be the second most powerful man in the government. Thankfully, that won't be happening because Kemi Badenoch's chance of becoming Prime Minister is about as big as mine, which I'd be 0%. So thankfully that won't happen, but, you know, in theory.
Spend
but I know even
on defence. So my point, Laura, is they've created a weak economy, which is, I'm afraid, going to probably find it quite difficult to handle what might now become...
But even as a Conservative, you have many times publicly acknowledged that your party also made really quite a mess of things. You didn't exactly leave a brilliant situation. You already had record...
22 billion!
...levels of tax and record levels of debt.
I can literally hear Labour members going, 22 billion! In the background. You can hear them on the wind. Black hole.
Things were not in a great situation, but I'm interested.
Well, we had COVID, we had inflation imported through the Russia-Ukraine war, and we did on the day of the general election have inflation down to bang on target at 2%. It's almost double that now.
But you said, well, let's talk about what you want to do about it, though, because viewers have heard you and I discuss this on many occasions, and you said there you want a completely new kind of economy. Can you tell us one big radical thing that you would actually like to do?
Okay, this could be very interesting. So one big radical thing that the Tory Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer would want to do. If he says running through a field of wheat, I'd appreciate the meme.
If you made it to number 11.
So we've always spoken, for example, of welfare reform. What this government has actually been doing is putting welfare costs up, and it's likely to come forward.
Oh, for fuck's sake. They've learnt nothing. They've learned nothing. So they want low taxes for rich bastards and fuck the disabled. They've learned nothing. This is the same evil Tory party that people didn't want a year ago. This is why your party's dying. You don't represent anybody. No one wants this shit. It's fucking embarrassing. That's your big radical thing, is doing the thing that everyone knew you wanted to do anyway. Fucking hell.
With the
and so were you. So what is one radical thing that you would like to do?
Well, when we were in government, when I was Secretary of State at Department for Work and Pensions, as scored by the Office for Budget Responsibility, we made £5 billion worth of savings within the welfare budget. And the OBR said...
You impoverish people to the tune of 5 billion. You're actually a monster. Yeah.
As a consequence of the interventions that we came forward with, 450,000, almost 500,000 fewer people would be going on to long-term sickness benefits.
Right, but that doesn't mean they're going into work. It just means they're going into poverty.
As a consequence.
Or homelessness, or death, or hospitalisation, or some combination of all of those things.
Had plans to go still further. And we think it's right as a party that we shouldn't have people on welfare. We should have them going into work with support where necessary, of course, and the savings could be enormous. And those are the kind of things that then allow you to do a lot of other things, like cutting taxes and growing the economy.
Okay, well, for something truly radical, I think you're still keeping people guessing,
Yeah, that was nothing. That was just boilerplate Tory rubbish.
But I must just ask you briefly, do you welcome now the government has changed its mind and will hold a national inquiry into grooming gangs?
It's a very late decision. It should have happened far, far earlier. We've been calling this for...
The person who is your boss, Kemi Badenoch, literally blocked this from happening when she was Minister for Women and Equalities. Another wanker you worked for, Boris Johnson, when he was Prime Minister, literally blocked this. Said that the UK had been spaffing money up the wall. His literal quote. Like, imagine talking about something as sensitive as this and using the phrase spaffing money up the wall because you're a public schoolboy cunt who's never faced any hardship in his entire life. Fucking hell.
For many, many months, and Kemi Badenoch and Chris Philp and others have been derided by the Prime Minister, actually just hopping on some kind of far-right bandwagon and...
just because you literally are.
Dog whistle politics and all the rest of it.
Like, you not once has Kemi Badenoch ever come out and said, we need to ban the burqa, until the far-right took it up. Now Farage and his ilk are going, ban the burqa, and so all of a sudden she's pro-banning the burqa. There's not a fucking far-right bandwagon she won't jump on. You're a clown show of a fucking party.
That was the wrong response, but this is just another example of the Prime Minister being pressurised principally by us into U-turning, in the same way as we've seen with the winter fuel payment means testing U-turn as well. And I'm afraid being a cork on the tide is not a good way to run our country. We really need somebody that's going to have more of a grip.
Okay, Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride, thank you very much indeed for being with us.
God, the Tories really are pointless. He didn't say anything. Like, they're genuinely... I want to just get this over to people. I mean, I still hate the Tories as much as I ever have, and I look forward to their eternal destruction and damnation. But, like, they don't feel... It doesn't feel as worthwhile hating them anymore, because they're not a factor. They're nothing. It's like watching something from the past. It's like watching, I don't know, the Macmillan. Or Ted Heath talking, because, like, it's so in the past that it doesn't actually matter anymore. Like, they're Tories and I dislike them, but it's so long ago, like, who gives a fuck? It's like that, but they're the actual opposition. They feel that completely irrelevant to the national discourse. That hollow. Like you could walk through them like they're a kind of mist. Absolutely worthless. I'm very here for it. It's just the problem is they're going to get replaced by the fucking Reform Party, who are worse. In some ways, at least.
This morning on a very busy weekend when of course our focus has been on the events that are unfolding in front of our eyes in the Middle East. The brutal regime in Iran is not of course the same as the Iranian people. Opposition in that country has been repressed for many years. Women forced to cover their hair.
So, and the person you have brought on to talk about the opposition in Iran is the son of the Shah. You are a fucking joke, Laura Koonsberg. And the BBC for allowing this fucking shit. What a joke.
Political critics jailed and same-sex relationships banned, while the economy is in terrible shape. You might remember back in 2022, the frustrations...
I wonder why the economy's in terrible shape. Could they have been fucking... had all of their main industries clamped down on by international sanctions? To the point where They regularly have plane crashes because they literally can't get spare parts for planes because they're considered to be potentially military of nature, so they can't buy them on the international market. Yeah.
Many thousands of people who took to the streets were met with force. So might this be a moment for those who want to overturn the regime? Reza Pahlavi is the son of the former Shah of Iran, and he told us this morning it's time for the population.
Wow, so the Shah, the dictator, the US-imposed dictator of Iran, his son, who wants to also be a US-imposed dictator of Iran, wants to tell us about a democratic uprising. Very serious award-winning journalism we've got going on here.
To rise up.
Well, since the initial strike, there's been a tremendous amount of activity, especially on behalf of the people who are in the streets and are obviously quite, I don't know what's the proper word to use
Dr.
here.
Phil, it is low. Even for the BBC, this is low, yeah.
But,
like, think of the people we've had on. Zippy Hottabelli, fucking genocidal lunatic, shouldn't be in the country. Mel Stride, fucking awful piece of shit, whose only big radical plan is fuck the disabled and the unemployed. Rachel Reeves, who's doing a democide against various different groups inside Britain, and the son of the former son of the Shah of Iran, to talk about democratic opposition in Iran, a place he doesn't live. This is award-winning journalism. This. She was former head of politics at the BBC. She was the chief political correspondent of the fucking British Broadcasting Corporation. It's breathtaking. The manufacturing of consent, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they're just blatantly doing propaganda. This is fucking embarrassing. This is really embarrassing. This is the national broadcaster doing this. Not even like... I'd expect it from like fucking GB News, because it's like a far-right funded piece of shit. This is supposed to be the neutral BBC. Oh, fucking... Just... I hate this place so much. I really do. And of course yesterday I think was the anniversary of Grenfell as well. Like, just this country is a sickening disgrace. Not a single person has still been even fucking charged in relation to Grenfell. Not a single fucking person. You might think these are not connected, but they are. It's the state of the kind of ruling class of Britain. Fucking atrocious. Where are we? Here we go. The boss of the US firm knew Grenfell cladding was unsafe and sold it anyway. Why is this person not in jail for murder? At the very least, manslaughter. The very least. I've said this before with the fucking Hillsborough people. I consider David Duckenfield and his crew to be murderers. But I understand that the way the rules are written, the way the laws are written, you're probably not going to get a murder charge or a murder conviction. You should absolutely charge them all and convict them all of manslaughter. Fucking grotesque. And it's the same ruling class that think this even remotely responsible journalism to have the fucking son of the former Shah on to talk about democratic opposition in Iran. Eat my fucking balls, man.
Re-energized in the sense that this is maybe an opportunity now, seeing the regime being so weak and have weakened even more, especially with the practical decapitation of its force de frappe. It equals the playing fields for them. So I think, when you're dealing with a movement of civil disobedience and non-violence against a very brutal regime, at some point the odds have to be...
Do you want to talk about the people that were tortured by your father and his government at all, Mr. Pahlavi? No? Don't want to mention that now. Okay. By the way, I'm not defending the Iranian regime. Fuck the Iranian regime. Look, there are no good guys in this fight. There are innocent people, sure. There are fucking civilians and that. There's no fucking good government involved in any of this. They're all fucking evil in their own way. But the idea that this prick and his fucking evil dead dad, can we get some lols for the fact that his fucking dad's dead? Yeah, his dad fucking tortured people. Really fucking badly. Had people murdered. Like, he talks like this, like he's basically the Lord Haw of modern Iran, right? He's called for the US to literally invade. Any person who ever calls for the US to invade their country, unless they're doing like a meme, I think I've probably done that once or twice, but like seriously calls for that, it has sold their country out entirely and utterly for their own grubby ends. And he is that. And yet is being held up as like a worthwhile person to talk to about Iran and freedom. You're fucking joking.
Shifting towards the people. I think people are sensing that right now. So there's a new wave of hope and energy that has been created as a result.
You have opposed the Iranian regime for a very long time, though. What evidence do you have that these strikes from Israel are actually stirring up more opposition?
Well, you know, the Iranian people realize, and the world needs to realize, that the root cause of the problem has been the regime and its nature. And the only solution ultimately that will benefit both the Iranian people as well as the free world is for this regime to no longer be there. I've been arguing this point from the very beginning, that the ultimate solution is regime change. Now we have an opportunity because...
Okay, and replace them with who? I wonder. Mr. Heir to the Shardom. Who should be placed on the throne here? Who should be the new leader of Iran? I wonder where you might lie on that, Mr. Pallavi.
Because this regime is at its weakest point. There's a window in which we can operate and hopefully liberate our country, and the world can finally breathe a sigh of relief that they no longer have to fear nuclear threats, terrorism, radicalization, and so on and so forth.
No, Israel will still exist. What are you talking about?
Yet many Iranians, and certainly the regime, may see this as an attack without justification from another foreign country. Israel began this fresh outburst.
Yeah, like, imagine that. You're saying, I'm here to defend the people of Iran, and literally you're defending the bombing of Iran. You know, innocent Iranian people have been killed because of this. And yet you're here defending that? You're defending the murder of innocent Iranians because you want to be fucking king of Iran again. Or your family to be kings of Iran. You sick bastard. You sick fucking bastard.
Of conflict. Do you really think that Iranians, therefore, won't they be stirred up against Israel rather than the regime?
I think Iranians have seen that...
Yeah, like, this is the thing, right? Bombing civilian targets doesn't lead to like internal stress in the way that any person who does that bombing thinks it does. It always unifies people, even around the government that they don't like. This happened with look at the Second World War. There's the example that was used, right? The British government was so unpopular that it fucking led to a change during a war, for fuck's sake. Churchill becomes Prime Minister. And the bombing that the Germans did unified the nation in a way it's never been unified before or since, frankly. And when Britain, America and the Soviet Union started bombing Germany, even though there was a massive amount of disillusionment with the Nazis, it unified the people. Because if you start dropping bombs on people, they say fuck you to the people dropping bombs on them. That's always the way it goes. It's never ever worked out differently than that. This won't lead to fucking internal shit in Iran. This will just lead to further hatred of Israelis. And unfortunately, I suspect, and I hope not, but I suspect, a rise in anti-Semitism in the Muslim world. I hope not. I hope they're able to fucking pass those two things out, but unfortunately, it's not the way it goes a lot of the time. So Israel's just making life harder for everybody. Again, just to keep Benjamin Netanyahu out of fucking jail.
The world has been more than patient, giving this regime ample opportunity to come around and be reasonable, even in the spirit of negotiating a deal. We have seen as a result of the stubbornness of Ali Khamenei that he is solely responsible for what has now happened.
So it's not. So you're not going to condemn Israel at all. You're fine with Israel doing this to your fucking countrymen. You're a traitor. You're actually a traitor. You're out here defending the bombing of your compatriots.
Iran should not have had come to this point. But what is the responsibility at the end of the day? It's that of Ali Khamenei. It is his war, not the Iranian people's war. So ultimately, anything that weakens the regime, anything that pushes more to its back, is something that people welcome for obvious reasons, because they see that strangulation that holds them in that position beginning to loosen on their necks. This is something...
He is Lord Haw. It really is. And you know what happened to him after the war? They hanged Lord Haw. That's what happened to him after the war. That's a historic fact.
Positive and not negative.
Are you actually saying then that Israel bombing your country, civilians in Iran being killed, is a positive thing?
I'm not saying that the targeting was meant to hurt the Iranian people. The targeting was meant to basically neutralize the regime threat. Clearly, I don't think that it was an intention of the Israeli government to attack Iranian civilians.
Jesus Christ. Again, I will just point out that Lord Haw faced the ultimate penalty after the war. Traitors tend to be executed for their treachery. That's what tends to happen. I'm not an Iranian legal expert, so I can't say exactly what the punishment would be for this man. But generally speaking, people who commit treason are executed. That's just a legal fact. In a lot of jurisdictions, the death penalty is the punishment for that.
What do you think then will happen next to the regime? You say people have been in the streets calling for them to be overturned. What will happen next?
Well, as I said, I think as a result of the regime being decapitated and weakened more than ever, it's an opportunity for the Iranian people to finally liberate themselves, provided, of course, that this time the world doesn't sit idle and demonstrate vividly that beyond just imposing sanctions or what have you, they're prepared to take the next step of giving the Iranian people a sense of support for their fight for democracy.
So he's literally calling for foreign intervention. He's literally calling for foreign intervention. And look, I know that the Pahlavi family don't have any actual fucking support in Iran and never really did. And the only reason you were ever in power is because the CIA fucking put you there. But you don't have to call for the foreign intervention in your nation again. You don't have to do that. Again, you're committing blatant, obvious treachery. Blatant treason. Yeah, and as L. Ron Hubbard points out, William Joyce was hanged in 1946 for treason. That is true. Again, just a historic fact. I'm not calling for anything. I'm just pointing that out. That is a historic fact.
Freedom. This has always been the expectation of the Iranian people, and I think the world now has an opportunity to see that through.
And what do you see your role being? Because, of course, your family used to run Iran. Is it your ambition to go back and lead the country, perhaps one day? Is this actually a political opportunity for you?
Well, I have offered my role, and I've been on the record for the past 45
I've offered my services. If the people of Iran want me, by which I mean if the CIA put me in power, I will happily subjugate them on behalf of US oil interests. Yes.
4 years of exactly what is my objective and what is my goal. And my goal is to see that Iran ultimately is rid of this clerical regime.
Unbelievable.
And that the Iranian people determine their own future freely through the ballot box. And
of
a
course,
process,
yeah.
a parliamentary process that will give the Iranian nation all the options once this regime has been toppled, to decide for themselves. And my role there is very critical in terms of creating as much unity as possible so that we can.
Oh no, I'm aware in Britain we don't have the death penalty, but in lots of places like Iran they do. In America they do, you know.
Work together towards that end and welcome all those who are now joining with us so they can be part of the solution as opposed to remain an obstacle and be part of.
Oh, Vile, that is very good. That is very good. I find him faultless, fully exonerated. Exonerated. That is excellent work. Honestly, that is very good.
Of the problem. I'm beginning to see that happening. I'm being contacted from elements from inside, particularly now from the military side, and I think that's a very important development.
So someone gift Violet a membership for that, I reckon. That's a solid piece of work.
Reza Pahlavi, thank you so much for joining us on a very busy day for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's a very busy day of selling your country down the river. Desperately calling in every fucking capacity, on every person who'll put a camera in your fucking face to sell your country and its people down the river, you sick bastard. Thank you for joining me, Reza Pahlavi. Cunt. What is it, Maria? What is this? What is this? What? No, Kev. Don't deny MI6 their share of the credit for installing the Shah. To be fair, MI6 did. Yeah, they did. It was a joint effort. I don't know which. The CIA scored the goal, but MI6 got the primary assist. It was a lovely pass, actually. It was a 3-on-2 break. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Lord Fritus, for gifting a sub to Vile. Much love.
Well, there could be a lot of turmoil ahead. Hugh, listening to all of the interviews and some that we've heard this morning, I just wonder, do you feel any more at ease or more worried?
Well, it's interesting hearing this interview from the son of the former Shah and comparing it to what was said by, in the earlier interview, the gentleman who clearly at some level or other represents the current Iranian regime. But I do think there's an international opportunity to widen this beyond the...
You raise a good point. How many Brits could even fucking point to Iran on a map? And Americans as well. What was the... Hang on, can we find the thing? There's a famous map thing of where Americans thought America was in the world. Can I see it anywhere? Oh, I can't fucking find it. Anyway, basically they were presented with like a geographic map of the world, so there were no like countries or borders or anything written on the actual map. And the Americans were asked to guess where America was. Which you'd think they'd know from like weather maps or something. Or just general, fucking education. And very few of them actually guessed America. Many of them put Russia. A few of them put Antarctica, which is rather good. And a few of them put them in the sea, which I can only imagine either means that they literally think they're Atlantis, or they were pissing around. Or poked the screen or whatever. I don't know.
Discussion. I mean, clearly de-escalation is a massive priority, but beyond the military actions here, and consider what the opportunities are here.
Is America a real place? I'm not sure America is a real place. It doesn't seem real. They elected a fat orange rapist to be president, and his mate said he's a fat orange rapist, and then went back to supporting him again. So, like, it doesn't seem real. They just had the worst military parade ever. Literally the worst fucking military parade in the history of the world. Ever. Where's the thing? There was a good comparison video bit that I saw. Did I bookmark it? Oh, this was good. In case anyone was wondering who the US Army is fighting for.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Coinbase.
They had literal fucking advertisements at their rally for like the UFC and Coinbase. Amazing shit. And look how miserable he looks. Oh my, he has to be dead soon, right? Surely. Where's the thing? Hang on. Oh, here we go. So look at this. This is the Chinese one. They're all marching in unison. Look, they've got their shit down. Look at that. They're all in a proper line marching together. That's a proper march past. That is a parade you are seeing. They have practiced that shit. They are disciplined all together. Let's have a look at the Yanks. Just sort of strolling. Four of them in a line there. That's apparently just four of them strolling along. And then someone said, somehow the Mexican puppy canine unit parade looks more fierce. It does. Look, I'm more scared of those fucking puppies. I'll be honest with you. Again, coordinated. There was a thing, wasn't there? Where was that? Here we go. This guy, look, they're just sort of shambling along. Look how empty that shit is, man. That's embarrassing. Look, they're not even coordinated. You're not marching. If you're not coordinated, it's not a march. You're walking. You're just walking, lads. That's not a parade. That's a stroll. You have gone for a stroll down the road. Look, just a tank and then there's another one. How shit is this? This is rubbish. It's too spaced out and stuff. It's just fucking silly. You're into pronouns, huh? Me too. Let me she/them titties. She them titties. Oh, amazing. Fucking hell. Amazing stuff. Look at this cunt fucking saluting. President Bone Spurs. Now you're saluting, are you?
Well, and you said just in the introduction to that the Iranian people are not the same as the Iranian government. And actually, just going back to I mentioned Gaza at the very beginning, I think it's important to say also that the Israeli leadership doesn't represent the whole of the Israeli people by any means whatsoever. And there are many Israelis who are absolutely appalled by what their leader is doing. Certainly in Gaza, there may be a little more unity around Iran, but let's wait and see. Let's make sure we hear what the citizens of these...
I don't even know what this means. Not here. Let's fight in an empty place. And then she's just pointing out that it's empty there. But I don't know what the reference... I don't know what who these... That's Goku, right? Is it? I think. Anyway, but I don't know what the relevance of these two characters is. Because I don't watch this degenerate filth. Obviously.
Countries are saying, and not just their leaders.
You're right, there have been plenty of demonstrations, thousands of people in the streets protesting against Benjamin Netanyahu's policies. Christiane, when you hear an opposition figure, an aspiring opposition figure like Reza Pahlavi talk about people in the streets in Iran, talk about potential uprisings, is that realistic, or do you think it might be wishful thinking? Because we should say to people, it's very hard to know what's going on in Iran. There's no free reporting.
Well, I mean, they have put out quite a lot on social media. I've been quite surprised. Look, it's going to be potentially difficult to rise up actually being in the streets while the bombs are falling and fighter jets, with missiles are coming down. But there is no doubt, and Pahlavi is right, and everybody who's reported it. I grew up under the Pahlavis in Iran, and the people, first of all, chose the Islamic Republic instead of them, but now have seen that the Islamic Republic is so much harsher, is so much more punitive, gives so much fewer rights, and is isolated.
They really are. Yeah, the guy's walking like... That's such a good example. He is like the guy from Clerks saying, I wasn't even supposed to be here today. They are the Dante. They are the fucking Dante of armed resistance.
From the world, and the economy is appalling, and it affects the people. So yes, I think from all my reporting, they want to change. He's the only one with name recognition, and whether it's for transitional or permanent leadership.
Oh, transition! No, that's illegal. We're not allowed to do transition anymore. J.K. Rowling said so.
He's considered the only one with any name recognition and any kind of support inside. He talked about the military. We know the Bazaris and people like that, potentially. But one thing to Hugh, and you have to say it, the people of Iran have been demonized and dehumanized, always associated with their leadership. The people of Gaza have been dehumanized and delegitimized. They don't want Hamas there. We've seen them on the streets under the...
It's pronounced Hamas. Thank you very much.
Hail of bombs. So it's not fair to have this collective punishment, and people should have their rights.
Lord Brown, finally to you on how this could evolve in terms of the effect here at home.
So I'd like to scoop it all up in one go and bring it back here. The spending review, energy security, net zero. It's my firm belief we need to...
I don't know who the fuck this lad is, but the other two have been fine. Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall has been pretty good. Christian Amanpour has been pretty good. Literally everyone else on the show has been awful, and this guy's been
really focus now and push very hard on energy security as a real objective, on net zero as the counterpart objective, getting more efficient as the research that goes with it, and make sure that we actually deliver the projects which are put into the spending review. This is really important, and we can achieve a couple of objectives at once.
Are the government's plans credible?
Some of them are credible. The timing is always too bullish. It takes time to do lots of big projects.
Hello, Mike.
When I was working with the government, I kept saying, you've got to think about
Welcome
it.
to the Kevolution.
Projects. Make sure you're realistic, not just accept what people say so that they can get into the queue. They can't. We've got to do lots of different things here.
I think that was a sceptical thumbs up. Is that a fair description?
Sceptical thumbs up.
And you're doing a waggly thumb on the side here.
I think the problem with the government's net zero plans is that they're not joined up. They're putting all the eggs in the energy basket. There's transport, there's housing, there's food and farming. They all need to play a key role in helping us towards net zero, and they're not there.
OK, and we need to say goodbye, sadly. Thank you to both of you at the desk on a very busy morning here. Thank you to Christian Amanpour, Lord Brown, and Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. Thank you to you, most of all.
I don't give a fuck, shut up. Yeah, so that was even by the standards of the BBC, and even by the standards of this absolute shithouse of a award-winning journalist, this was rubbish. This was really, really fucking low. Having Zippy Hataveli and not mentioning any of Israel's crimes, basically. Having the fucking son of the Shah of Iran on. Like, what the fuck? Oh, God. Just... atrocious. It does feel a little bit like 2002, 2003 with Iraq. It feels like the drums of war are being banged and banged and banged. What is this? Oh, Matt Lieb. I like Matt Lieb. He does Bad Hasbro, doesn't he? Which is quite good. Let's have a listen.
People are being so judgmental of Israel for bombing Iran. Like, can you at least try to understand it from the Israeli perspective? You've just spent the last 20 months being accused of genocide and ethnic cleansing. Day after day, your brave men and women in uniform, they're coming home covered in tears and blood, so much blood. You can't even imagine how much blood. So much blood that they get used to it. They get numb to it, that they start to depend on it. They need it. More blood, more blood. Can you even imagine what that must be like to ache for carnage? No, in your comfortable homes with your Netflix and your PSP video game. You are so sheltered that you've probably never once considered what it feels like to be the Grand Marshal of a human flesh parade going straight into the meat grinder. Some of you have never longed to breathe in the bone dust of your racial inferiors, and it shows. Just imagine it was you, okay? It's literally not hard. Just
breathe in the bone dust of your racial inferiors. Fuck. That is a line. Fuck me. That is... yeah. Literally near the knuckle.
close your eyes and say, I am a voracious blood hog. Oink, 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 feed me the spongy tripe. And there you are, a righteous grief eater, merely sitting down for another...
We're having that again.
...eyes and say, I am a voracious blood hog. Oink, 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 feed me the spongy tripe. And there you are, a righteous grief eater, merely sitting down for another tasty meal while crowds of naysayers are chiding you for being heartless when they're the ones who don't know and probably will never know the euphoric pleasure of consuming a human heart. Imagine the pain of being told that your feelings are invalid. Imagine the pain of being told that your lived experience of creating death experience is not cool, you know, that you're canceled. Easy for you to say when you have no idea what it's like to be so flush with the super yummy, yummy blood of your neighbors that you actually kind of get bored of it. And you start looking around, and you, hey, what's going on over there? Oh, and you say, Iran has 92 million people, and Papa Hungry. And they've been talking a lot of mess about our diet. Iranians telling us what to do with our bodies. Color me surprised. You can't know what that's
Papa
like.
Hungry.
You don't know what that's like. So think about that the next time you make a TikTok about how war is bad. People are being so judgmental.
Okay, I think I might need to repost that one. That was holy moly. That was really fucking strong. Okay, enough. Oh, that was I'm glad we ended on a high note. So, who should we go over to on YouTube? Oh, okay. Who's going on YouTube? Some random geek. Fuck yes. Okay, some random geek. Go and say hello to them. Who's going on Twitch? What's Rhizio up to?
Civilization as we know it.
Oh, we're watching a Charlie Kirk bit. I'll send you over to Rhizio because we haven't been to Rhizio in a... I don't know why I'm saying it like that. That's fucking weird. You go over to Rhizio for your slop related needs. Is it Rhizio? Is that not how you spell it? That is how you spell it. Okay, go and say hello to Rhizome, and I will see you tomorrow, Monday. For I don't know. There might be a debate about the war in Parliament, so I might want to cover that. I think, at least the statements and some of the highlights. No doubt the jombly crumbly fucking jam man will have something to say. Anti-Semitic, I'm sure. That's a joke for any new people. That's a joke. I do that joke because he's not anti-Semitic. Anyway, thank you all to all the new people. Thank you to everyone who supported and fucking awesome people. I will see you all tomorrow. Stay beautiful. No passing around.
I think that's why people get empty nest syndrome, because
I think it's like straight people are unhappy in their relationships in a way that you